Good morning. Welcome into Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. What's going on, DB?
Oh, just make it through another weekend.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. Doing all right.
How'd the weekend treat you?
Weekend was okay. Spent a lot of time in Lincoln
Yeah?
watching state basketball, and then got caught up. Saturday was kind of a whirlwind, so got caught up with almost all sports.
Mm-hmm.
Went back and watched Big Ten wrestling, which was sensational. What else caught my eye? Oh, big Drew Christo guy. So
Yeah?
him slamming the door and what could have gotten sticky yesterday.
Had a nice day on Sunday.
Man, came in a jam too in the fifth with bases loaded and threw a gem. So Drew's, I'm a big Christo guy, obviously. Excuse me. And I think the split personalities are incredible for him. Just some days he just lights the heck
Just
out.
like dialed in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Nebraska needed that one too because couldn't get it done in hoops, which was a very depressing weekend. But the only thing that offset, I think, Nebraska hoops was Nebraska wrestling.
Mm-hmm. Second in the Big Ten.
I mean, like an unbelievable showing. And Shane, a clock would be cool sometime when you get a sec.
Okay.
And obviously Omaha.
Yeah.
Omaha was kind of anticlimactic, but it was just good to see them put the exclamation point on it because I thought it was tricky.
It's a weird spot. Like it's a really strange
to know
spot.
you're in and then go out and seal the deal.
Yeah.
So I mean, I bet Nebraska women had a heck of a run in Big Ten tournament. Surprised to see UCLA get over the hump.
Yeah.
A little bit against
USC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Had to come back to do it.
That was what, their fourth time they met this year?
Yeah. And would have gotten ugly.
And then obviously Creighton women still on their run in the Big East.
Yeah. So I think of the 22 women's games, 23. Do you know how many were decided by single digits?
Ooh,
and maybe this isn't awful.
Yeah.
Seems like a low number, just 9.
That's a little less than half.
Is that at this stage? Should it be more or no?
You would like
It's
it
just
to
a
be
lot.
more.
It's just lopsided. It's just
You'd like it to be more.
It's kind of lopsided
for sure.
South Carolina, Texas was a super snooze fest.
Yeah,
but I mean, for Omaha and Coach Crutch and obviously Adrian and that athletic department, what a roller coaster.
Oh yeah. Well, and they've done I'm glad you brought up the athletic department because they've done an incredible job.
Yeah.
Obviously, bringing in Coach Crutchfield a few years ago, and the ability to kind of see the vision through, right? Even when people like me couldn't see it.
Yep.
Right. And we talked to Sauter on Friday. He was kind of on the same page as me. But it is.
Well, I remember at one point, I can't remember the loss.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked Sharpie, I asked Gary, I said, what in the world is going on?
Yeah.
So I was at that point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was hard to figure out, too, because they were dropping games. Like, let's not pretend like they weren't dropping games they shouldn't have been dropping, right? They were dropping games to teams in the 300s and in net rankings and RPIs, and you go, or not RPIs, in Ken Palm and net rankings, and you go, okay, this isn't what it's supposed to look like, right? Obviously, they made some key changes, bringing J.J. White into the starting lineup, things like that, about dozen games into the season, 10 games in, whatever. But like I have to give Coach Crutch a ton of credit.
And his attitude was always good. He's been good to our crew. Obviously, Hurrdat loves Omaha.
Mm-hmm.
He just his, and he's kind of got that personality.
He's like he seems, and I don't know him well, but he seems very,
and not a big blinker.
Well, he seems very suited for like steadying the ship.
Yeah.
And staying on the right course. And it was. I did find myself thinking about kind of the situation they found themselves in going into the game, because most teams in the one bid conferences don't experience, if we go, like, we're in already, right? Like, that's a super strange position to be in. And I do have to give them a ton of credit for still being dialed and kind of wanting to go in right, like put the exclamation point on it, as you said. I'm super excited for them. Like I remember.
Yeah, they can get one.
I remember, what was it? It's got to be, 8 years ago now, when Trayshawn and Tradeon, and Tradeon has like a 38-footer to try and go to March Madness with Coach Hansen. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, come on. Like, you see the shot go up and you just.
It kind of captivated the city for a while.
Yeah, they went on this run. And
they had all the local yokels.
Because that was, they had all the local kids, which I love.
Yep.
And then they were going up. That was the Mike Dom South Dakota State team, right? Which was a wagon, right? And so they're kind of a Cinderella in the Summit League even at that point. I think it was their first or second year of eligibility to actually play in the tournament. And I remember when that shot didn't go in and things kind of start going sideways after that, you just go, man, I don't know when they're going to get another shot at it, another bite at that apple. And so it was super cool to see Coach Crutchfield and that team pull through. And like you said, like they're going to be a live one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's the whole turn, like just the way that this deal is going to be set up with the early rounds and the seedings and, the week bubble. Somebody's or they're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, it's not.
And I don't know. I'm not calling my shot on Omaha.
Yeah.
But it's going to be an interesting tournament, the first two rounds. I think you're going to have to know your ball and pay attention to matchups.
There's going to be some squirrely results for sure. Another one I'm excited about that is going to be a little more highly seeded than Omaha, but still going to be pretty far down there is our guys over at High Point.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Coach Al Huss.
I was almost going to ride them all weekend, but it's just one of those teams. Them and Central Connecticut are just two teams I pay attention to because of
the connections.
Yeah. And they both have just been playing outstanding basketball. Last
few years too. I mean, not just.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
High Point's a problem.
Yeah, they are. They've got some dudes.
They put the biscuit in the basket too. So it's like, and unfortunately, fudge. You got to find other teams to cheer for because.
Yeah, Nebraska didn't get done.
Monumental.
I really don't know how else to put it.
Monumental.
Like
I was mad, and I don't even know why. But I was mad. Not a.
What do you mean you don't know why? You know why?
Yeah, a lot of times
they're capable of better.
A lot of times I can channel,
like talk yourself out of it.
Yeah, and I knew there were some other things that I could probably rally around.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, you got wrestling, but that wasn't until 4:30.
Omaha game wasn't until late.
Yeah, that was going to be at night, and it just, I don't know. It dragged and dragged, and just the way they played, man, it was beyond frustrating.
Well, it was this whole last third of the season, last half of the season has sort of felt like a slow bleed too.
Yeah,
it hasn't been like they showed just enough life in late January, early February to make you think they were turning things around. And what it turned out to be is just in Big Ten play, not a good enough ball club. I think the really frustrating thing is you saw moments throughout the entire last half of the season where you're like, okay, this team is good enough. They're capable. If they weren't capable, I think it's easier to deal with, right? If you don't have a Bryce Williams that can drop 30 or 40 on you, or you don't have Jawan Gary who actually played pretty well, right? You don't have these guys that are actually capable of helping you win these games.
Well, remember a month ago, they're coming from Columbus, and it's like, or they beat Ohio State, and it's like, oh, shoot, man. And we caught ourselves. I'm like, we're not to the point now where you're worrying about whether you're an 8 or a 9. You don't want the one. I'm like, I'm not falling for it.
No.
I'm not. We're not in a spot. I said, good enough to be worried about seed lines.
Yeah,
we were having those conversations.
And the idea of not making the Big Ten tournament was a figment of our imagination at that point.
Well, we were talking about
we were talking about Illinois.
We were talking about could you go from 9 to 8, or would it be easier to go from 9 to 11?
Yeah.
And think 9 to out.
Yeah, it's.
But the being caught from behind, which is why I brought it up, it was in my thought process because I just allowed myself to go there with the scheduling. I just didn't think, it would be, Penn State. There's just so many. There are just so many games.
And I just, you look at the way the back end of the schedule, especially the last 6 games.
Yeah.
And you go, okay, that shouldn't be daunting.
It's not murderer's row.
Right? Like, obviously Michigan is a pretty solid squad. Ohio State at home isn't terrible, but you look at that, you go, hey, that's gettable.
Mm-hmm.
At least half of those are pretty gettable. And I still can't get over, even in some of these games that they won, like Washington, Northwestern.
Well, Washington is the only team that has more losses in a row than them.
Yeah.
They lost Washington last night. I think yesterday was 6 straight.
Yeah.
And Nebraska's lost 5 straight.
Even in those games that they were winning, I couldn't understand why they kept falling behind by 15, 18, 19 points. Like, that to me, I don't exactly even know.
No other team is even close in terms of losing streaks.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe Michigan, because I think yesterday was Michigan's 3rd in a row.
Yeah.
But Nebraska and Washington, 5 games in a row. Now, there's some teams on a heater.
Sure.
I think Oregon's got 7 in a row. Michigan State's got 7 in a row.
I was like, Oregon's been playing really well since Nebraska, ironically enough.
February, man. February and March it's Altman time.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that was most disappointing was just couldn't match the energy of the crowd early. It was just one of those things that it was electric early. And then about 4 or 5 minutes in, it turned into like this tension convention. And Nebraska responded.
Unfortunately, yeah.
It just was, I don't know. It was dicey.
It's funny that you bring up Washington because if you look at their last, I think it's 19, and Nebraska's last 17, almost identical. Both have 5 wins over that. Washington's 5-14 in that stretch. Nebraska's 5-12. And but their overall records, like, you could see that coming from Washington, right? Because they kind of struggled throughout the year. Didn't really see that coming from Nebraska.
Yeah, I don't know when's the last time you could remember having a conversation on a team that needed to win a game to not get. You would go from just getting into the Big Ten tournament to being on the bubble to out.
Yeah,
with just one game.
Yeah.
It didn't make any sense.
Yeah, because if they get into the Big Ten tournament, they are still on the bubble, right? Like, there's such a variance.
It's like, how does this happen?
Usually when you're trying to struggle to be in the conference tournament, you're not talking about the bubble. You're talking about, I got to make a run through the tournament. You're not even talking about, I need a couple of games. You're talking about, I have to win the tournament to get in. If Nebraska had won yesterday and wins 1 or 2 games, there's a decent chance they're in.
I think they would have needed 1. I mean, the hypothetical is going to drive me crazy now. We just couldn't get in. Just the irony of the bookends of
the Iowa.
Oh,
who brought that up yesterday? Maddie?
Maddie or Jacob, one of the two.
Yeah, of how the slide starts and ends with Iowa.
Yeah, that was Maddie D.
That doesn't help the optics of it at all.
I'm driving home that night from Lincoln when
the first one.
Yeah, and when Nebraska was playing in Iowa City.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
It's certainly a tough way. I know Hoiberg said he expects them to play in some kind of postseason tournament. I don't know.
I don't know how you get those guys to rally.
That's the thing. I don't know emotionally, whether it's fans or players, how well that's going to go over. Because, I mean, for the seniors, they probably don't want to go out like this, but they had plenty of opportunities not to go out like this. That's the hard part.
So, you want to talk about, you never want to question a team's effort level because that's kind of, you better be right.
Yeah, or there better be some pretty damning evidence in your favor.
You just watching that game and it's like, where was the juice?
Yeah. And that can be different things though, right? Like that's not always effort. To me, I looked at
100%. That's why I'm.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not quick to
go there.
To go there.
Yeah.
Because it can be a couple of different things.
Because a lot of times it's tight,
and sometimes the moment gets to you.
Like sometimes you're a little tight, and it's hard to show good effort or look like you're showing good effort.
And you happen to be playing a team. Well, it's twofold. Number one, stylistically, that's always going to give you problems.
Yeah.
Because they'll dial it from distance, and that has been your Achilles.
Mm-hmm.
And the other, it's Iowa, and so you know that they just enjoy giving it to you.
Yeah, 100%.
Like,
and I'm glad you brought up stylistically, because we were having this conversation in the chat. Because I said while we were watching this game, I was like, hey, I don't know if Nebraska is going to do well in a shootout, right? And you're like, well, I mean, Iowa's kind of on pace, and that's fair, but stylistically, I think an average night for Iowa feels like a shootout if you're Nebraska, if you're not going to hold them below their averages, right? That's kind of what I was getting at, and that's to your point.
I just think Iowa's just going to do. I mean, yesterday that was exactly who they were.
Yeah, 100%. I think if you're Nebraska, I don't think
that was their scoring average.
Yeah,
so 3-point percentage. How many points at the paint was a little bit of a outlier.
Yeah.
Because I think they made 11 threes.
Mm-hmm.
They're
within a point of their point total average on the season.
Yep.
Like
and a point within their 3-point percentage.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know. Iowa's not going crazy.
No.
And Nebraska's just so inefficient offensively.
Yeah. They're going to have a hard time winning games like that.
Every shot, these open shots, and some of them weren't even contested, where you could even the run that Raleigh made, it was like he was just guiding and hoping that thing in.
That's what it always looks like with Raleigh.
And I'm like, hey, he's frustrating.
Like, you know what I mean?
It's just frustrating.
Like, there's a reason when I say I never want him to shoot the ball, I'm not trying to be mean. It never looks like it's going in.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look like he thinks it's going in either. That's part of the problem.
Yeah, like the fadeaway post move. Did
you need a minute?
I needed a minute. Well, that was right after Berke in the post.
Oh, God.
With all the footwork, and then he fell down. And then your very next shot down the floor was the fadeaway.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just remember early in the season, one of the things that I liked when it would kind of get a little chaotic.
Yep.
They didn't panic with the shot selection.
Yep. And that's one of the things that got away from them. Not just yesterday.
Yep.
But over the course of this skid.
100%.
And I almost texted real time, but there was a couple stretches I think it was about 6 minutes left. And they're down 8-10 somewhere in there. But it's a game. And
56-48 maybe?
Yes. And they took about 3 possessions in a row with just terrible – it felt like panic threes.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, you have so much time left. Because it was after they had cut it to what was like 47, 45.
They'd started getting to the foul line.
Yeah.
At least putting the ball on the deck.
And then Iowa made a little run to get it back out, and it seemed like they panicked. Like, that's why I go – maybe the moment got to them more than an effort thing, because you could see little microcosms of them not handling, of them kind of tightening up. And, I think I used the term puckering the other day. Like, it just didn't, they lost a lot of the things that made them an intriguing basketball team for stretches of the season. And like you said, Iowa's going to Iowa. It's not like Iowa went crazy.
Yeah.
Iowa went Iowa. And Nebraska, if you're not going to play better than that, there's not a lot you can do.
It was an incredible. I don't know. I allowed myself to say, you got to be able to predict a finish here with the last 5. I'm like, you got to go 3-2.
Yeah.
I was past just win the next one. Because they should have been past that one.
Yeah. They were to the point after that stretch where they
could have clearly been wrong.
Win 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 6, whatever it was, when it seemed like they righted the ship, that you should be able to say, hey, you got to go get Northwestern, you got to go get, you got to go get Penn State, you got to go get Minnesota. Like, those are not games that those are winnable games. Those aren't that you're not talking about Michigan State and Maryland, and like, I get losing to Maryland. That might be my favorite team in the Big Ten. In terms of how well they're playing.
I still think I still think it's Michigan State, but I know you said I kind of like them more than you do.
Yeah, I don't dislike Michigan State. The Jace Richardson thing intrigues me a lot more than they did prior to the Fears injury. But I don't know. Maryland intrigues me a lot.
I like their backcourt, and the front court's a given.
You want to know? You probably know this, but this stat I heard yesterday about Michigan. Speaking of teams at the top of the Big Ten,
give it to me.
They are the first team in like 30 years to finish above 500 in conference play with a negative point differential.
It's a weird team.
So that's why whenever we say how are they doing it, it's because like the stats don't even make sense.
Yeah. And I stopped saying it probably a couple weeks ago, but there were probably 9 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
Where I would say,
are you sure they're good?
They're good, right?
I don't really know.
It's like 9 weeks in a row. I don't. How about how quick Nick was to say no on Michigan 1.5?
Yeah.
He's like, no.
Absolutely.
I thought that was a little. I was like, you need more time to think. No,
absolutely not. No, it was Michigan's hard to figure out.
I don't get them.
I don't either, and I certainly don't trust them.
It was a crazy kind of weekend for that, right? Not that it's not going to be North Carolina hour, but they still couldn't win a game in which was relatively low scoring, even though they looked like they had a chance.
Yeah,
right.
And they got into it for a second. Yeah, they got themselves into it for a minute.
I think it's 53-48, something like that.
Yeah. Made that nice run right before half to make it a ball game.
And then you look at a team like Bama. And I think they're in that top 4. I kind of want to do, and then they do what they did the other night
to Auburn.
Yeah. And there was multiple plays, but just a little simple ball screen, and you let a guy that go to his strong hand.
Yeah, he's trying to go left.
He's going left.
He's that's.
I mean, that was a moment thing, but again, that game wasn't just about the one possession either, but just a weird basketball weekend.
Alabama's one of those that if you're going to let them play the way they want to play, that's a challenge, right? I think deep down, Bruce Pearl likes playing that way, so he's probably not going to fight you on it.
Yeah.
But if you're going to let Alabama play like that, it's they are hard to beat.
Yeah.
That's a team you kind of have to take them out of what they want to do.
You saw Clayton Jr. in Florida in all his glory.
Yep.
Now, that's a team. And good. We've said this, and I have no idea, so I don't. Maybe you have to be a good team for Florida, for Kentucky.
Oh,
to get their attention, because they're pretty good against
against good teams.
Yeah, against top 20. Crapshoot against everybody else. But you asked me if I thought they were dangerous last week, and I quickly said no.
Yeah, maybe.
I still say no.
But you don't feel great about it?
Because I don't love Missouri.
I don't either.
Oh, it's gonna be.
And
I think we say this every year, but it does seem like it's a little tougher this year because the middle's so fat.
I don't think the top's dominant. The top's gettable and the middle's fat. It could be interesting.
Yeah,
it could be a little wild. Coming up,
is Matty going to
DeMarinis?
Is he going to anything with the Big East tournament? It'd have to be a quick turnaround because I assume he's been at home.
No, he's out there.
Oh, is he?
I think so. I'm pretty sure he's been out there.
Wow, he has been awfully engaged.
Well, he's got nothing else to do. When there's not games going on, what else are you going to do?
Huh.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's out there. I think I saw pictures from Twitter that he's out in Connecticut. So I would imagine he's just going to hop over to New York.
Yeah.
That's what our Anna B's doing. She's just hopping from Connecticut to New York.
How would you like to be Omaha just waiting this week? No, you probably don't care. You probably partied your brains out last night.
Once you're in, you're in.
And, you get back.
I'm used to this, though. I grew up a Missouri Valley Creighton fan. This is my wheelhouse.
Yeah. Hey, how sweet was that place in St. Louis?
Oh, yeah.
The environment.
Yeah.
I mean, and Bradley laid the egg late, but
yeah,
that thing was going bonkers early.
Those people still love, Missouri Valley looks a hell of a lot different than it did 10 years ago, but those people still love their
That place was was incredible.
There's still a bunch of like Creighton fans that still go down.
Oh, I believe it.
Because they just loved it.
Just routine.
Yeah, they just like it. So they'll go to St. Louis one weekend.
It was a heck of an environment.
Yeah. It's one of the better, like, conference tournaments that doesn't get the headlines.
Yeah.
Like ACC, Big East get the big headlines because of, the conferences. But
I just was glad that
is low-key.
The rest of the country gets to meet Sturts.
Yeah.
He's a problem.
Yeah. I mean,
he played all but 5 minutes in their last 5 games.
That's unbelievable.
It's incredible.
That's some, like, Stephen Ashworth stuff right there.
Yeah.
I mean, really?
Yeah.
That guy doesn't get a lot of breathers.
That's a good time. A good time of the year, man. So congrats to Omaha. And that was the one saving grace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited for him. I think we're going to try and effort Coach Crutch later this week. See if we can get him on there. See if he'll talk to me if I'm willing to eat some crow. But no, we root for Omaha for sure.
Yeah. Come on, T-Mac. Don't jinx it.
What's he doing?
He said, I just hope UNO doesn't have a stupid play-in game. They're past the play-in, aren't they?
I think so. I think they're closer to a 15 than the play-in, honestly. I don't think they're going to get a 15.
I hadn't even thought of that.
A 15 or a play-in?
Play-in.
No, I don't think so. I think they're...
Come on, T-Mac.
They are...
Does he know something we don't know?
Maybe? I don't know. The brackets... Maybe. The Summit League is not one of the bottom 4 auto bid leagues. That's all. So that would make me believe they're not a... Yeah. And it wasn't a huge upset for them to... Obviously, they won the regular season. So that... I don't think they're going to be in a play-in. I think they're closer to a 15 than a play-in. But we're going to talk to Shelby Mast later this week about bracketology, and he'll maybe give us a little more guidance there. But
Bracket swag,
Shelby Mast. We will be back here in just a minute and let you know what's coming up on the show today. Lots of college hoops, lots going on locally as well. Crowned a bunch of state champions on the girls' side last week. We'll crown a bunch on the boys' side this week.
NFL free agency going ham.
Man, they're going wild. I'm sure we'll get to that. Nothing happened with the Steelers or anything, so
just don't give me Aaron Rodgers.
Listen, you might be able to survive 2 knuckleheads. You're not surviving 3.
I've been dodging bullets so far, but I don't know. Might be in trouble.
That's DB. I'm Ravi.
At least we got Devontae Adams right.
Yeah, to the Rams?
Yeah.
We'll have more Hurrdat Sports Live coming up next. Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla, reminding you as you're driving this morning, make sure you fasten that seatbelt. It prevents injuries and saves lives, but only if worn properly. Make it click. This message from the NDOT Highway Safety Office. Coming up on the show this morning, we've got Sam McKewon, our Monday regular at 8 o'clock from the Omaha World Herald. And then at 9, we will talk to our very own Avarie Howard from Hurrdat Sports. She's been up in Sioux Falls this past weekend, hanging out with the trash can beaters up in with the Omaha.
I can't believe that thing has just grown legs. Legs.
Yeah.
The trash can is all over the country I would say, I saw it on Sports Center.
Yep. That kind of was the cresting of the wave was what last week on Sports Center. But it went kind of went viral a little bit.
My left stroke just went viral.
I did think it was a little funny that the Summit League was like, hey, don't destroy our trash cans. You have to bring your own. It's like, what are we doing here, Summit League?
I know. Come on, man.
It's like, we got a little viral moment thing.
Place was deep, man. You could sprang for about $40 for some new trash can or 2.
Yeah, I think they could have figured it out.
Right.
You don't have to make a whole thing about it.
We're getting good gate.
No, it was. It was good. It was a good crowd up there.
Yeah.
Crowd up there in Sioux Falls.
I was back and forth in Lincoln a couple times, and I had to drop something off, and then I wanted to take my buddy to go meet Coach Rule.
Yeah.
And the schedule for Coach Rule, there's a thing that I had to take to him that it was a gift. It was matted, and it's pretty cool. It's from the Pinstripe Bowl.
Yeah.
It's Gotham Bowl, and it has like a picture of Devaney and then Coach Rule. DJ's buddy made it, and I was like, oh, I want to get this to Coach Rule as a gift. And I was like, oh, okay. And I wanted to take my buddy Jeff, who's been sick.
Mm-hmm.
Got the message yesterday. Hospice says no bueno. So I'm going to shoot over there right after this.
Yeah.
I hate the any day thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And it's like, really?
Yeah.
It's a heck of a 2 months, you guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I ended up coming back and then went back the next day to Lincoln, which normally I wouldn't do.
Yeah.
I don't think, because it was the finals and it was TV.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, well, I could just watch it.
Just watch it?
Yeah, but I ended up going down a little bit early and watched some good basketball. When it wasn't, I felt like I heard the name Dolliver like 27,000 times. And John's like his daughter, she's got the knee injury in Malcolm. I'm like, golly, just all over the place. Brothers, he's coaching and the crowds, because where I was going with this was crowds. The crowds finally got a little bit better on Saturday, but I was a little
disappointed.
I was a little disappointed with, but I think I said that last year at the boys tournament too. Mm-hmm. So maybe it's not.
I don't think it's unusual. Like, especially,
you think is it getting smaller?
I don't know if it's getting.
Although the game right before the Lincoln Christian Milford game it's more people than Class A, I think.
Yeah, I do think you get that a lot of times with some of the smaller classes. I think a lot of times the crowds are better because you bring kind of the town with you. A lot of times, you don't always get that in Class A.
I'm telling you, the Lincoln Christian game turned out to be the best game.
And Milford, not that far from Lincoln. Obviously, Lincoln Christian right there. It's sort of a home atmosphere for both. Makes it
look
easy
at all
to get
this
to.
blue.
Yeah,
but it was cool.
I do think, as much as I like the basketball state tournaments, I do think crowd-wise, it's not one of the more impressive events that Nebraska puts on. Like, wrestling is probably the coolest. That is.
Yeah, football does its thing.
Yeah, football does its thing, but it's hard, especially Memorial Stadium, because it's such a big venue.
I go to baseball at both spots. Yeah. I like baseball.
Baseball's good.
I mean, Papio South does a really good job, and so, of course, Tal, Baxter does. By the way, shout out men's baseball, Omaha. Tal got its first win.
Yeah,
this weekend. Yeah,
my guy Evan Porter.
Man, we're gonna get him. Good dude. Good dude. I think they're gonna be pretty good.
I think so. I think they'll have a nice year in the Summit.
So they got one of those SIUE teams.
Yep. One of those SI.
I don't know. Sometimes it's just like, I'm an education guy, so sometimes I think ESU.
Yeah.
And it's not ESU.
Sometimes the vowels get a little mixed up.
It's like one of those deals. But ton of Dylan came. Emmett came, because those two, apparently they go everywhere together.
Yeah.
Seems like it.
Yeah,
Christian stopped down.
Certainly does.
Caleb came down. People were trying to represent. And
Westside made a nice little run through the tournament.
Yeah, congratulations to Millard West.
It's a wagon.
They're pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm telling you though, I agreed with Sauter. Gessert's, and they're sweet. I mean, I was looking at Caleb a couple times. I'm like, most people just aren't shooting those three. There was an by the way 3 shot in the corner just because nobody really came to close out.
Yeah.
She was going to run some action.
Yeah.
She's like, well, I'm open.
As if nobody's going to guard.
Yeah, she splashed it, and she kind of shrugged like, well, I mean, they didn't really guard me.
Probably come out on that.
Oh, they're a couple of buckets, but Lewis is tough.
Yeah.
She is. I mean, the double knee pads. She must have. I bet she had 5-6 offensive rebounds. Yeah, from a guard. Yeah, I mean, tough. Probably tougher than her brother. He's the real deal. He could pick it too.
Yeah.
He played short, and she didn't come over until this year.
Really?
Yeah, from Utah. Yeah, I don't know if she wanted Big Brother to be the test case.
Have a little test, little guinea pig.
She is tough.
Well, then you had Scott getting their first state title.
Yeah.
After what, three runner-ups in a row?
Coach Colony.
Well, and that Ladwig, you want to talk about a bucket?
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah, she can fill it up.
Yeah.
She's going to Buffalo.
She dropped a 50-burger earlier this year, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Unbelievable.
So I think, the Lincoln Christian Milford game was probably the best game.
The most competitive game.
Yeah. Wasn't super compelling. This week, I don't know about quality.
Might be chaotic though,
but could get hectic.
Yeah,
could get hectic. So I'm kind of excited.
Not a lot of separation between the top and the bottom.
Yeah,
of the field there.
depending on what happens over the next couple of days, I don't know how much I get to Lincoln though.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. It'll be a fun week. I'm excited for it. Hoping my Mustangs can make another run. They start off tough at Bellevue West though.
Oh, I know.
Like they're not.
Did you look at the halves of the? I mean, no disrespect. The draws are.
I'm not thrilled about it.
And I know coaches don't want to hear it, but they know deep down. And if they tell you they're not being honest. I mean
they know who.
Yeah. That half of the bracket is
because if we're being honest here, you do an advanced scout too. Somebody on your staff is doing an advanced scout of your.
Yeah.
There's probably 2 people on staff. One is assigned to each team that is on the other side of your bracket for you to do an advanced scout. So they know what they are up against on their half of the bracket.
Yeah,
and it's not easy.
No gimmies. The team with arguably the best roster didn't do themselves any favors by getting the tough opening against a team that may be playing the hottest.
Yeah. You like Bellevue West a lot.
I do.
You like how they're playing a lot.
I do. But now that Papio South has a third scoring option, they've gotten a lot tougher.
Mm-hmm.
When it was just Kircher and Ball, like you kind of felt like, okay, I'm gonna let one get his. They've been tough.
Yeah. And
they shoot the pee out of the ball too.
Yeah.
So you dial it from distance like that. But they're all on one half.
Yeah. It's not. I don't love Miller North Path. I'm just gonna tell you that.
Oh, they'll
love it.
They'll buck out.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know.
I'll
change. I'll probably change as I get a little closer to midweek. But I don't know who I would pick just yet.
Bellevue West is good, man. I don't love the opening. I don't love the opener. I like to kind of just warm my toes up in the water a little bit first.
There'll be no warm up.
Not trying to dive head first in the shallow end.
Hard to believe they're playing in the first round.
Yeah. Especially after all the history.
Yeah.
It's like, can we save this?
It's usually a semifinals, finals game.
Yeah, can we save this for later in the week? Nah, right off the jump.
Get it out of the way.
Coming up next, speaking of getting things out of the way, the NFL just decided to get a bunch of their big signings out of the way.
I am shocked about Myles Garrett.
I am too.
That's the one, I could see. I was kind of pissed about Geno. I was like, something's moved.
Yeah.
That dude's going to be available.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was going to be the next day.
Or the Raiders necessarily.
hey, I like the Raiders.
That's a good move for them.
I like what the Raiders are doing. I hate to say it because Shane is so close, but
earmuff, Shane. Don't listen.
They're
making moves with purpose.
They're having a good offseason.
I don't have to say that. Shane's not listening anyway. We'll get more into NFL free agency next here on Hurrdat Sports Live. We are back, Hurrdat Sports Live, wrapping up hour number 1. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, and we've got a little bit of catching up to do on the NFL here at DB because the NFL just decided to go crazy while everybody was watching basketball this weekend.
It's 365 days, man. They just find a way to
stay.
They just stay current. They're
stay in the cycle.
They're king. There's no question about it.
So let's start off. Let's start off with your Steelers. DK Metcalf. Because I sort of jokingly brought this up last week.
I floated it.
Are you surprised that they made the acquisition or surprised that they paid what they did for it?
I'm surprised they paid what they did.
Because 5 years, 150, obviously that's the fake number, but that's a pretty big investment in DK Metcalf.
It is. It is. Now you've got to go get a quarterback.
Yes.
So,
which is sort of the most confusing part of
somebody because you have to do. I assume you're going to do Pickens deal. I mean, you wanted him to be a Steeler.
Yeah, I think you have to at this point.
So, I don't know who's going to throw them the ball.
In or out on Darnold?
I'm in because I know they'll make an offer.
Yeah.
I still think he ends up in Seattle, but
I don't know. Does Seattle want to pay for that? Like, what's Seattle doing right now? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, but you have some talent now.
Yeah,
it's a good roster. Now you're hurt outside the numbers.
Yeah,
I mean clearly. But
and if you're Darnold, even if Seattle wants you and you go, hey, you guys kind of just gutted your wide receiver room. Do I want to go there?
That's who is he going to be throwing to now?
I mean, I can get Kenneth Walker as a nice little running game, but
no, he's sweet. Look, I like him a ton, and he doesn't get talked about nearly enough. He had the bad injury and came back last. Kenneth Walker's pretty sweet.
He is, but is that enough?
I mean, no, it's not.
If you're Darnold,
it's not.
But Metcalf and Pickens might be.
I mean, those
a couple guys make you look pretty good.
I just don't want a 1-year, 42-year-old guy. I don't.
With Rodgers?
Yeah.
I mean,
because Smith and Jigba isn't going to be enough to get Darnold.
No. I don't think so. Unless they're just by far the biggest offer.
Yeah, it could be.
If it's one of those things where everybody else is sort of in the 20-25 range, and Seattle's like, oh, no, we'll give you market rate at 40.
See, I think the team that could pay him the most is Tennessee.
Yeah, probably. Cap-wise?
Yeah. I think Tennessee could probably pay him the most with the guaranteed money.
Do they want to?
Then Seattle, and then probably Pittsburgh.
Yeah. But if you're Darnold, and you've been in some bad situations before, are you taking the money or are you taking the situation?
Well, I think with him it's about his OC. So,
sure.
I mean, that's the thing he's got to weigh. And I wouldn't be in such a hurry to leave Minnesota.
I think Minnesota's moved on.
Because Rodgers to Pittsburgh sounds like a fallback.
Oh, yeah. Like not their primary option.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to.
I wish I knew a little more about what was going on. And I hope it doesn't work, to be honest. But I wonder what happened with the Fields negotiations. I mean, maybe he just wants too much.
Or maybe he wants some guarantees, like playing time. You know what I mean? Maybe he just wants to play.
If they do the deal and they re-sign him, I mean, he's their guy.
You think?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's their guy.
I didn't know if there was any chance they might run back.
I mean, you're not going to pay that. You're not going to re-sign that deal to have him, not to have him be your starter, and he's not going to re-sign to not be the starter.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. The division is really good unless you're the Bengals.
Yeah, and even they still have the quarterback I like the most in the division.
Yeah, I mean he's the real deal.
Yeah.
But
the rest of the franchises.
You franchise T. Higgins again at 26.5.
Yeah.
Hubbard retires.
You're letting Hendricks.
You tell Hendricks he can go find a trade.
Yep.
I mean, Cleveland still needs a quarterback.
Good roster though, and getting Garrett back helps.
Everybody keeps saying that.
I mean, I think it's a good roster. I don't know. I guess we haven't seen it.
Yeah, I think it's a good roster.
Better roster than Cincinnati overall, I think. I don't know. You're more dialed in on the AFC North than I am. Take quarterback out of it.
I'd probably take Cleveland's roster.
Yeah.
Offensive line is bad in Cincy.
Yeah. I think there's a lot bad in Cincy. But yeah, you got to find the quarterback.
They got some good offensive pieces, though.
They do.
Oh, boy.
So if you're Cleveland, you're moving. Are you just drafting a guy? That's your option?
I don't know. I wish I knew how they restructured Watson's deal.
So it gives them cap room this year by converting it to bonus that they've paid out.
Do you know how much cash?
20 or 36, I think. 36. And then next year, they're still on the hook for 46. But I think they can do the same thing next year to reach.
Kind of what they're doing with Mahomes.
Yeah, exactly.
You just have to be able to show that cash is in escrow.
Yeah, which if you've got the cash, you can basically do whatever you want in terms of restructuring to lessen the cap hit. So I imagine that's what they'll do. So if they wanted to sign somebody, they could.
If you have to spend 89% of your revenue within a 3-year window or give it away, what is Cincinnati doing?
I don't know. Like just pay Higgins, you mean? Or pay Hendricks or whoever?
Pay somebody.
I was say half of that's going to Burrow. I don't know.
Pay somebody. Right?
I mean, you have to, right? That's the deal. You have to pay someone.
I don't know. This is going to be a bananas week. I just want the quarterbacks to fall.
Yeah.
However it's going to go.
I think
because
is Darnold the next piece?
Probably.
He's the best one out there.
I think he's the most expensive left, though.
Unless you're trading for somebody currently under contract.
Yeah.
I still think
because Russell's out there.
Yeah, but he won't be Darnold expensive.
Well, I thought he may be a Raider, and
yeah.
I mean, they come out of nowhere to grab Geno.
They reunited with the other Seahawks quarterback.
Yeah. So we got some guys.
Russ will be out there.
Russ, you got Justin.
Somebody will talk themselves into Russ.
Darnold.
Darnold's the best one currently available.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So I think once he falls, the rest of it sort of falls into place.
But he's the one that he's going to cost the most, obviously.
He probably wants his career-defining deal. He has to, right?
Still, he's only going to be, by the time they tee it up again, he's only going to be 28.
Yeah. But that's about the time you got to get that contract done if you're going to make that generational money. So he's kind of, and who knows what situation he's going to end up again. He probably needs to cash in.
Yeah, there's a couple of surprises. Garrett's money surprises me in Cleveland.
The turnaround surprises me more than the money.
Just the about face?
Yeah.
Yeah. Last couple of guys we heard seeking trades, all of a sudden they're on new teams.
Yeah. In a hurry. With prejudice.
There's some. What is Dallas going to do?
Your guess is as good as mine.
They need a wideout.
Yeah.
Well, they need a lot.
Maybe they go get Cup.
Not the answer. Are you really gonna waste Dak's contract?
Maybe.
I was surprised in Minnesota that they brought back, and I like him, Aaron Jones.
Oh yeah.
So, that's
2
good.
years, 20.
Yeah, that's a good deal for him.
Yeah.
He got 13 guaranteed, right?
I think so. I think 10 or 12 of it's this year, and then there's a little on a roster bonus next year, I think.
Yeah, the quarterback thing.
If you're the Rams, though, is Devontae Adams at 20 a year better than Cooper Kupp?
But it's exactly what we were talking about last week, though. Exactly the fit.
Yeah.
You got a year or two left with Stafford. He's really good in the red zone.
Different type of receiver than Puka.
You put him opposite Nakua.
Yeah.
And you let Tutu Atwell, who you brought back on a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
And you only paid him. Tutu's like 110.
Yeah.
And let him get vertical.
Cooper and Puka just too similar.
Yeah.
So you need to diversify the weapons a little bit.
You do.
Okay.
And I think for them, because Devontae, what do you go, 217? What do you go, 217?
Yeah, I think so.
It's significantly cheaper than Kupp.
No, Devontae?
Yeah.
No, he went 246. He's getting 20 guaranteed this year. He's the exact same price.
Are they on the hook for that?
Yeah, that's the new deal. That's his new deal.
God, I thought they only had a part of that.
They signed him to a new deal. So he's getting the exact same cap hit as Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, they're the same.
So that's where it surprised me, because I thought you might get Devontae on a little bit of a discount.
It's not as broken down, maybe. Well, yeah, it's taking a couple years off.
I'll say
he should have some fresh. Devontae should have some fresh legs.
Fresh or rusty, hard to tell. Never rusty. Our guy Sam McKewon coming up next from the Omaha World Herald. We'll dive into all things Omaha, Nebraska, Creighton with our guy Sam here on Hurrdat Sports Live. Kicking off hour number 2 here on Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. We are joined now by Sam McKewon from the Omaha World Herald. Sam, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Sam, how we doing, bud?
Great. Beautiful day. Just started to listen to some Scott Satterfield press conference because you know who starts spring football today? Cincinnati.
I saw where Nebraska opened up that initial line a couple weeks ago, 6.5. I'm sure that thing will probably get to, 8, 9 or whatever. But does that sound about right to you? Bringing back with what you know about Cincinnati?
Yeah, it does. That's going to be a road game for Cincinnati. Literally, they're going to have to travel to Kansas City, but the crowd will not be in their favor. So I think they're going to find that to be a very difficult environment to play a football game in. And they do have a returning quarterback, Brendan Sorsby, who was pretty good last year. This is a team that you could have flipped a coin and they would have finished 7-5. Now they finished 5-7. They lost their last 5, but they were competitive in some of those games. And they got a bad taste in their mouth coming into this season. So they're not a team that went to a bowl game and finished 7-6 and feeling pretty good about themselves. I think they'll be pretty motivated. So you have to keep that in mind. And they're not a bad team. They're not what I would describe an upper echelon power conference team, but they're not terrible.
Sam, kind of in a vacuum, is that a type of team you like Nebraska starting off with, where it's not a gauntlet of a power conference team, but better than one of the sisters of the poor schools we've seen in the past?
Yeah, I think ACC, Big 12 are options there. The Pac-12 is obviously reforming, and that there are some teams in that league. They're not all bad. So I think those are options. I think, again, the size of the guys in those leagues isn't quite as big. Certainly the speed. I think the speed in the Big 12 and the ACC is either commensurate with or greater to the Big 10. But the size of the guys is probably the thing that doesn't measure up. We saw that in the Colorado game. Colorado had incredible skill both years, but the reality is Nebraska's offensive and defensive lines outplayed Colorado's units in those two games, and the only thing that kept Nebraska from being competitive the first time was their quarterback play. So I think those are probably the games that you would like to see Nebraska play. They're gonna play those when they play Arizona. Obviously Oklahoma doesn't fit into that category, but Arizona does, and I think that's an example of a team that Nebraska could play.
I guess we'll just stay with football since I
love football. I'm ready. Now I'm ready. I took a month off, but now, with Lulla talking tomorrow, it just feels like it's time.
I know, man, but I wanted to talk about the other team that took a month off with Nebraska basketball, but I'll get to that.
Yeah, we can do that.
I'll get to that in a second because they actually did take a month off. So sticking with that, are you surprised at the kind of the new tenor of Coach Rule, where he's kind of all in on the defending of Nebraska and doing what's best for Nebraska and spending money like we're at Nebraska? Like it seems like he's just kind of taken on this new stance where somebody's going to finally do what's best for the school and stop worrying about what other people think.
Yep, I think it's I think it's a good tenor.
Me too.
For Nebraska, and beyond that, I think it for a long time there it had been, well, it's Nebraska and they're going to do things the right way, the character way, the way that other people in college football feel good about, and they're never going to be Kansas State under Bill Snyder and schedule too easy, and they're never going to spend too much money because that would be sort of not what Midwestern people do. And I think Rule's chucked a lot of that aside. In some ways, he's a much more polished, much more congenial version of Bo Pelini. I think Bo would have believed in some of those things, but the way that he communicated it was so harsh and so sandpapery at times that people just didn't like it. But Rule is a really good communicator, and so I think he's able to put those things in terms that Nebraskans appreciate and respect. And so I think that's probably where Nebraska's always kind of been going. And I think Scott Frosch was a little reluctant or sheepish to hit the gas full pedal on that. And Mike Riley did not care. He actually liked the mom and pop approach, and that's one of the reasons Sean Eichhorst hired him, is because Mike Riley wouldn't be too expensive. And Matt Rule isn't going to do things on the cheap. They're going to do things on the expensive, and he feels like the program is supported like that. And in order to be the kind of program that Nebraska wants to be, they are going to have to spend. You're not going to be able to do this thing, magically with fewer resources than a Georgia or an Oklahoma.
Sam, I want to try and dovetail this into basketball a little bit here, because as we've watched over the course of the past couple years, really under Fred Hoiberg, I'm curious, with the commitment to the basketball Nebraska has and who they've got in place right now, like what kind of program do you think Nebraska basketball should want to be?
I think that annually making the NCAA tournament and occasionally making a run in the NCAA tournament is the kind of program that Nebraska can naturally aspire to be. And I think that's, you're not necessarily going to make it every year. Out of 6 years, you make it 4. that kind of thing. And, out of those 4 years that you make it, maybe in 2, you're winning at least one game, and maybe in 1 or 2, you're making a run to the second weekend. But that's basically what I think the program ought to be. I think that's a reasonable expectation. Creighton's expectations are a little higher. Obviously, they're making the tournament every year now, and they basically expect to make a second weekend run, even if this year it might be a little tougher. So I think Nebraska can be just a run below that, and that's more than fair. And quite honestly, I think that's I think Hoiberg wants to make the tournament every year. He's very competitive. I think people don't want to hear it. I really think he coached the team up this year in a lot of ways. They lack the athleticism of some of the other Big Ten teams. They lack the shooting. So when you lack athleticism, there's certain things defensively that are hard to do. And when you lack the shooting, there's certain things offensively you're not very good at. And so how do you win games? Well, I think Hoiberg's done a pretty good job. He needs to have a conversation with Fred Hoiberg, the GM. And the GM, Fred Hoiberg, may need to have a conversation with boosters or whomever in order to get the players in the program that they absolutely need. Because I feel like when Nebraska took the floor for much of this season, guys, in Big Ten play, they didn't seem to have as athletic or as good shooting of players as their opponents. And that includes Minnesota or a bunch of other teams. So, that's the area where I think Nebraska needs to improve.
So, okay, in this day and age, Sam, how fair or foul is it to separate the two when we talk coach GM? Because all of a sudden the last handful of weeks, we hear about NIL money and what's being spent, and people have inflated some numbers on what a couple of players at Nebraska are making or they think they're making, and it's like, oh, there's not this whatever, right? The narratives that are out there. How do we separate that, in your opinion, from a guy that right now that we think is a pretty good coach that's 37 and 79 in the conference?
Well, I at the collegiate level, those are often one and the same. So, there's in football, that's beginning to change in college football, but in basketball, it's roughly the same. Fred basically had a GM for the first 3 years he was here. Now, Matt Abdelmassih was technically an assistant coach, but he was doing a lot of the talent acquisition and roster formation, and that didn't go very well. So now I think, it does come down to, okay, who are the players that you have in the program? What do you like about them? Do they fit your vision? I think in terms of character, they do. I think they're tough and gritty and scrappy and all of those things. And so I think they're getting those kind of players. I think you just want to be able to, supplement the toughness and the grittiness with a little bit better athleticism and a little bit more shooting. Like I said, I think you have to. A Fred Hoiberg team should be able to shoot the basketball, and only one of his 6 teams at Nebraska has been able to do that. So I think it's hard to separate the two because there aren't many collegiate basketball GMs. North Carolina's getting one, a few others. Anybody who's a North Carolina fan, and I know, Damon, you are. When you watch North Carolina and Duke, the 2 times they played, the difference in the rosters was stark. Like the athleticism and the quality of players. And, growing up as a kid, that was never true. The teams were pretty much equal on that front. But when you look at Duke now and you look at North Carolina this most recent season, you understand why they're getting a GM, because they're like, you guys probably need to have somebody who can help you acquire elite talent so that you can match up with elite talent from Duke. And so maybe Nebraska needs that GM. I don't know. But the reality is, I don't think Nebraska matches up with North Carolina's talent. I think Nebraska is struggling to match up with, the top 6 players at Minnesota. And so I think they just need to choose better to some degree. And if you want to talk resources and NIL money and things like that, well, I think that's a reasonable conversation. But remember, revenue sharing is one thing. NIL is another. And NIL is largely dependent on boosters, and that to some degree is dependent on the coach. Like Matt Rule works his tail off to raise money. Mm-hmm. I think most people who are around Creighton basketball would tell you that Greg McDermott does the same. I assume that Fred Hoiberg's doing that, but Fred's probably got to go out and get a whale and convince a whale, listen, man, we need a little bit extra here so we can go get this guy here, and in getting that guy there, maybe we can be the kind of program that we want to be. And I would say at the point guard spot, that's a key spot, because I think they haven't been quite as good there as maybe they would have hoped they would have been. And that's an area where maybe if you can go out and get a slightly better player, you might be able to get over the top.
Sam, so you brought up several things there with sort of the player acquisition chain of events, right? Where, if you had to nail it down, is Nebraska missing, right? Is it on the talent eval on the front end? Is it on the resources to acquire these players? Is it on just players not wanting to come to Nebraska? Like, where is it falling apart in that chain where, let's assume you're right, that Nebraska is having a hard time matching up with the roster of like a Minnesota, even not even talking about the top of the league necessarily?
Well, I'll try to talk about roster construction here for a second. I had a really interesting conversation with our beat writer, Wilson Moore, last week. And Wilson pointed out that when he talked to Andrew Morgan over the summer, Andrew kind of told him, well, they showed me a lot of clips of Rink masked. I'm going to kind of come in and do what Rink was doing. Because remember, Rink is coming back, but he's hurt this year. Mm-hmm. And so they couldn't go out and get like a 4-year guy for the Rink role. They had to go get a 1-year guy. And I think they settled on Andrew Morgan. And then Wilson noted, Morgan didn't do a lot of that. He played in the post. Well, some of it is by saying, okay, Rink, you're going to come back, they almost limited themselves in a way. They were like, well, we need to go out and get a guy who's like Rink, but he can't stay here for more than a year because Rink's coming back. And so that was one thing. Like that was challenging. They kind of hamstrung themselves a little bit there. So Rink's going to come back, and that will help them because he will do some of the things in that offense that Fred believes in and wants to do. I think the second thing is you have to kind of decide, okay, do you want to be a team that continues to play the defense that you're playing where you're doubling the post and you're rotating out and covering threes? Or do you want to have a lineup where you can put a defender out there and he can play a center kind of straight up and do better, do pretty well, right? Do fairly well with that. Now, anytime you play a center straight up, the opposing center is going to score more points. That's just life. But you want to do it relatively so that it makes sense and you're doing the right things. Can they go find a guy like that? And then I think they have to decide. I think Hoiberg has to. I don't know. I think Fred thinks he can fix shooters that have struggled in other places for a couple of years, and I just don't know that he can. And it's not because I don't think he's good at what he does. Connor Essegian came to Nebraska and he could shoot. Some of these other guys, were not good shooters from the schools they left, and they didn't get better when they came to Nebraska. And so I think some of it is you got to go out and get the right shooters. Fred's been on those guys. He tried to get Antonio Reeves from Illinois State, and he signed with Kentucky. He tried to get Baylor Shireman from South Dakota, and he signed with Creighton. Tried to get John Tonji out of Colorado State. He signed with Missouri. I don't know that Nebraska tried again because nobody knew that John Tonji was going to do this.
Yeah, he made a run at Hunter Salas. Made a run at St. Thomas.
Made a run at Hunter.
A little
Hunter's a better all-around player, and not just a pure shooter. But yes, of course, he made a run at Hunter Salas. He made a run at Latrell Wrightsell Jr. He didn't get it. So along the way, they've tried to make the effort to go out and get a guy that can score and fill it up. And again, Hunter's a little bit more versatile player, especially on defense. So Hunter's a better defender than some of the players that we mentioned. But on some level, you have to land on one of those guys, and I think they've settled is the wrong word. I think they've went after the next guy that once they don't get the guy they want, and so there's that. And then there's we like who Rink is, so we're going to let him rehab here for a year, and then we'll come back to him. Well, that limits you a little because basically you're saying we got to go out and get a 1-year guy, and then that guy did not really turn out to do the things that Rink Math did last year. So I think they were a little hamstrung there, and they will be better at that next year because he'll be on the floor.
Let me ask you something, Sam. Coach Rule has tried to kind of talk about bucking this curse, and it's not this, and it's not that. It's not the uniforms. It's not, we need to be better. We need to worry about football. And for Nebraska basketball fans who are, struggling through just trying to get a tournament win, right? They see what's happening at Creighton. They saw this year from Omaha. What's different, or how would you explain, if I wanted to get off this whole, we're never going to be this and this doom and gloom, what makes a year like this different in terms of level of disappointment versus like 2018 or 2019, the year after they were 13-5 in the conference, remember, and they didn't really have the quality wins and they didn't get in. And guys like Palmer Jr. and Copeland and Roby and Watson, like that team kind of fell flat. That's different than what happened this year, isn't it? Or is it just simply a Nebraska basketball thing? Because you're trying to shake that across the board. Do you know what I mean?
I do.
Help me with that.
That season, Miles' final season was obviously disappointing and had kind of an uplift at the end in the Big Ten tournament, and they won a game in the NIT. One of the challenges with the end of the Miles era is that it was the end of the Miles era, and some of that was because Bill Moose was ready to move on, and Fred Hoiberg was out there available to hire, much like Scott Frost. Or Scott Frost wasn't available, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And so I think some of what happened during Miles' final season, especially after Copeland gets hurt, he got hurt in the Ohio State game, and then after that they go on a losing streak. It was just pressure. I think it was, everybody kind of knew that they had to make the NCAA tournament or Miles was out. He only got a 1-year contract extension. He got a 1-year contract extension off of a 22-11 season. Fred got a 4-year contract extension off of a 23-11 season. So the writing was on the wall for Miles, and everybody kind of knew that things were going to be a little rough and tumble in that final year. And people don't remember this maybe, but there was that big flare up with Tim Miles trying to hire the sports psychologist on his own, and then Nebraska saying they had their own sports psychologist, and this whole
that's happened in another sport too. It seems to be a thing. Although not anymore, but
right. So, there was a lot going on. And so I think what makes this season a little bit different is that, Fred's obviously wasn't on the hot seat. He was, had all the momentum in the world. PBA is jam-packed with fans. And the team was 17-10 and just basically needed to win 2 or 3 more games to make the NCAA tournament. And they only need to win 1 to make the Big Ten tournament. So the fact that they didn't make either one, I think, is really deflating and disappointing. And again, Hoiberg is pretty good at staying with the coach speak and kind of staying on message. But I think his level of disappointment is probably off the charts. And he doesn't necessarily convey that per se. I mean, he'll break a whiteboard with his hand or cut his hand or whatever. But he doesn't necessarily, get in a press conference and rant like Mick Cronin. Maybe it would help if he did. I don't know. All I can tell you is that I think he's really frustrated with not getting it done this year. And, the fans, I don't know how much the fans do or don't feel that. You look at the message boards, and they're not thrilled with it. And it doesn't, the football program, everybody kind of knows that's a slow runway. And everybody knows that Big Ten football is a bear now. Like this isn't what Bo came into. God bless it. 2011. This isn't that anymore. So Big Ten football is a bear. Winning nine games in the Big Ten era right now is a real achievement. But baseball's not going very well right now. That's frustrating. So there's just a little bit of discontent with men's sports. Women's sports doing great and have generally done much better than the men's sports since joining the Big Ten. I think that's something. That's a theme that's probably worth exploring a little bit as to why the women's sports, including basketball, especially basketball, has so greatly outperformed the men's side since joining the Big Ten.
Yeah, it's interesting. And knowing both of them pretty well, obviously I know Amy a little bit better, and longer. Don't you still think that both programs reflect their coach's temperament? Or is that too linear?
I think that the team that Amy has now, I don't know. I mean, maybe she wouldn't say this. I think this might be her favorite team she's had. So yeah, and there's reasons for that. There's reasons. A lot of those players stayed. They just fit what she wants. I think. I don't know that every team she's had, even a couple of good teams, necessarily did that, but this one does. And I think I think one of the things I would say of Hoiberg is that he was pretty steely as a player, and yeah, he had his up and down moments as he's described before. But you got to have a guy that can just go out there and nail shots, and I do feel like they've lacked that. So I don't know. I mean, I think there's a lot to be said for the way that Nebraska's men play, and they play hard. It just, I think you can tell they're missing a player or two. And so the offseason conversation is going to be about, how much grace and how much patience do fans have? Are they going to buy season tickets? I mean, buying this guy out is very unlikely, folks. It's a lot of money. I think to buy him out right now would be more money than it costs to buy out Scott Frost. So, I think Fred Hoiberg and Nebraska are a marriage, and it's going to last. So, I think there's a sense of frustration perhaps about that, but they need to make this thing work with him, and we'll, I guess they're going to the Crown. I hope they play in the NIT and not the Crown. That's my opinion. That's my 2 cents.
Because
it's 3 weeks away.
Yeah.
I mean, the Crown starts on March 31st. That's a long time to sit around and that's like a bowl season. And that's just a long time to sit around and wait for a postseason tournament, wait to play Villanova. That's the Crown, for people who don't know, is going to have 2 teams each from the Big Ten, the Big 12, and the Big East, at least. And then they're going to populate it with other teams. And it could be more Big Ten and Big 12 and Big East teams. So we don't really know exactly how many teams will end up there. It could be Georgetown, Villanova, and Xavier if they don't make the NCAA tournament. I don't know. It's a long time to wait to play, those teams. And go through the whole rigmarole of going to Vegas for a week. That just feels like a lot of process to go through. I don't know that Nebraska has a choice. I don't really know how the contract works. So, but they're going to play in some postseason. I suspect they would prefer it was the NIT, because then they can start playing next week. Next week. But I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they'll figure out what they're going to do, and then they've got to get right on the transfer portal. They'll start adding players to the program in April, I would assume.
Hey, let me get you out here on this, Sam. I'm going to play quick word association. You ready?
Yes.
Bryce Williams.
One of the best Husker of the Big Ten era.
Huh. Okay. Is that 12 years?
Yeah.
It was Petaway. Now I think it's Bryce. Petaway was a better defender, but I think it's Bryce. He got the scoring record. Yep. He'll be first team All Big Ten, I think, this year. Yep.
If he does, that's a heck of an accomplishment to make all first team All Big Ten this year.
Yeah, you know what's going to happen is you're going to have two guys from Purdue on the team, and they finish four games behind the Big Ten champions. And the Big Ten champions, Michigan State, and they're not going to have a player on the first team. Makes a lot of sense. That's what's going to happen. It's what everybody says they're going to vote for. Wow,
I know, and I think Braden Smith is going to be Player of the Year.
that's okay. I can live with that. I think Braden Smith would be even better at Michigan State. But the point being, the other guy who had a wonderful season, did it occur to anybody that maybe he's compiled the stats he has because he's got the best point guard in the country? And they have one of the best shooters in the country? He's the third best player on the team.
Yeah.
But anyway, obviously Michigan State's doing it with just 9 yeomen and Tom Izzo is a wizard, I guess. I don't know. I've even heard, Izzo's not going to win Coach of the Year. Well, what are they supposed to do there? Do they get best fan base of the year? What do they get for winning the Big Ten by dominantly?
Yeah, he should be Big Ten Coach of the Year.
Oh, he will be, I think. But I've heard arguments for, I don't know. Willard. I'm like, oh, really? I don't know. I don't think so. Greg Gard. No, not Greg Gard. No.
Oh, I
Come
love
on.
it. Yeah, excited.
He doesn't have a first-team They don't have a first-team All-Big Ten guy. They're not very good.
Excited
Okay.
Sam is the best, Sam. Appreciate it, Sam.
Sam, I just Googled something real quick. I think they get a trophy for it in the Big Ten still. So
there you go.
That's all they. Sam,
best fan base, best student section, best uniforms. They have great uniforms. Michigan State has the best uniforms.
They're going to get the sportsmanship award.
Sam, there you go. They probably. I don't know if they'll get that.
Not after yesterday.
They do have the best uniforms. Yeah. They have the best uniforms in the league for sure.
Sam, we appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week.
Yep.
Thanks, Sam. And folks still mad about kissing floors? What was Michigan doing?
What was Michigan? They were just standing there.
Mauve.
You can kiss the floor with them standing there.
Yeah, they've already stepped on it. Doesn't matter, right?
I mean, what's the difference?
Dirty sneakers is dirty
just
sneakers.
Hanging out, I don't know. I thought it was weird. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We'll have more Hurrdat Sports Live coming up next. We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, where you can come check out their fish and chips. We did some investigating last week. We found out what kind of batter it is. I think we're good. I think we're good on the batter.
Yeah, good on the batter.
You could also come in and get Omaha's own sandwich, the Reuben, this month here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. So come check it out. Also, great place to come watch March Madness when that kicks off as well.
A lot of people like the what was I hearing? I got a couple of DMs about the short rib quesadillas.
Oh, I've heard very good things.
Yeah, people are big fans of the short rib quesadillas.
I've heard very good things about those. I've also heard very good things about our guy Cody here. Let's talk a little Big Ten wrestling.
Commander Cody?
What's going on, Cody? How you doing?
What's going on, gentlemen?
How we doing?
Hanging in there, Cody. Hanging in there.
I have no clue where I'm coming in at because I listened on my phone and now I had to call.
Oh, we'll make sure we take care of you, Cody. Thank you. Appreciate you taking one for the team.
Can we start this off with is Lucas Bird your new favorite wrestler, Damon?
No, but maybe soon. Oh, I
know you like his story.
Yeah, it would be awful fast to jump to the top already. Like he's got to move a couple of guys out of the way. But yeah,
I'm not talking about his wrestling.
Heck of a story. No, I get it. I get it, and that's what I cheer for too. But let me ask you.
Yeah.
Let me ask you something, Cody. Since we're going to talk about wrestling for a second, how is there? Would you, if you were czar of college wrestling, do you like the seeding process?
No.
What would you do differently?
Well, first off, I would start penalizing all these guys that are taking matches off.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, you follow Willie. You see his complaints, too, about guys dodging guys to protect seeds and guys forfeiting out of tournaments, which we didn't see a whole lot of that this weekend, thank God. But there's a lot I would change as far as scheduling, as far as matchups. Just there's not enough. I mean, why are we getting Max McAnally and Carter Strachey in the finals and they're both undefeated? Like, why are they not wrestling during the season?
Yeah.
And I get it. Big Ten has, 14 wrestling teams. You're not all going to see each other throughout the year, but there was a lot of undefeated guys across all the conferences going against each other, and I think there could be tougher scheduling.
You're certainly not going to panic if you're Iowa, but back-to-back years without a Big Ten champ.
Yeah.
Nebraska ripped off a heck of a performance this year to take second.
See, and I want to talk to you about that.
Okay, go ahead.
I think Nebraska had a great performance, but do you think Nebraska left a lot off on the table?
Yes, I do.
Okay, thank you. Because I do. I think Nebraska was absolutely terrific. They finished where I thought they would be. I did not expect Camden McDaniel to get fifth. I'll be real honest about that. And he wrestled his butt off.
I'm pretty proud of him, though, because he took it on the chin all year.
We're not on air, so I can say what I really want to say there now, right?
Yeah, you can say whatever you want.
Yeah, but I thought McDaniel did good. I'm not going to point any names out because that's not who I am. There were just some other guys that I thought fell short this weekend.
Well, I mean, we could talk about performances in general, can't we?
Yeah. I'll go there. I was not happy with Silas.
Yeah.
I thought Silas left a lot out there. I love Antrell to death. He's the most athletic wrestler I've ever watched with my own eyes. I feel like there's more in the tank that he could have brought out.
Yeah.
And I was texting Antrell about that last night, and I go,
is it the technical side? Do you think?
I don't know. I truly don't know, because he is one of the most athletically gifted wrestlers you or I have ever watched.
Yeah.
And I just feel like, I don't know if he's getting a little bit in his head when it's getting tight and he doesn't want to make the big mistake. But I think that's what we saw with Ridge and Parco, where Ridge has been like that. And then yesterday, he's just like, I cut it loose. I did not care. And, he beats Parco 14-2.
Which is,
so I think there's some of that there where.
So what did you think about Caleb Smith and Lulla?
I think that
I don't love Lilladall's style, if I'm being honest, but then I turned around and, I get it. You want to be protective late and you don't want to be reckless. And
yeah,
he almost let Caleb stall his way back into tying that thing.
I know. And it's the same thing we saw when Antrell wrestled Kasich down in Lincoln. They get that first takedown, good luck. A lot of those Penn State guys get the first takedown, you're screwed. You got a long way to go to come back, because they're hard to take down already. They're hammers on top. So if they're getting that first takedown, they're going to spiral right to the death. They're going to back up. They're going to wait for you to make a mistake.
What do you think?
We saw that in the what's that?
We always go through the national seedings. There's going to be some more tricky ones too. Have you prepared yourself emotionally?
Yeah. What do you do at 141?
Struggle, because look at all the little mini upsets in the Big Ten tournament this week. I mean, that division's a mess.
Look at the Alirez gets beat, and then you have Happel win it. He beats Jamison from Oklahoma State in the final last night. In the Big Ten, you had Bartlett and drawing the blank on the kid that Brock beat from Ohio State. I'm assuming Bartlett's still going to get the one.
Yeah,
and Bartlett has the win over Brock. And then,
all right, I'll be prepared for
Happel.
I'll be prepared for the screenshots as we go over it from my living room in your humble abode.
Yeah. Hey, Ravi, did you get to watch any of it, or were you watching every coach that ever coached at Creighton's all of a sudden in the NCAA tournament?
Yeah, I was watching.
They are having a heck of a run.
I was watching a lot of hoops. Unfortunately, D-Rock and Steve Lutz don't appear like they'll be in the NCAA tournament this year. But I understand your point. It was nice seeing Coach Huss and Coach Sellers do well. No, I was watching a lot of hoops this weekend, Cody. A lot of hoops.
I almost had him I almost caught him in time to check out Pinto's Barn Burner, but I think I was late on that because I don't even know if you were in front of the TV.
That wasn't.
Yeah.
Hey, what did you think of Will Manning last night coming out of left field? Like, no, F you guys. Robert Kokesh won it back-to-back.
Yeah, so I forgot about Kokesh.
Yeah, see, and I thought he had only won it 14. I forgot he won it 15.
I didn't. 15, I drew a blank too. I'm dead serious.
Yeah,
and I liked Kokich too. You'd think that would have been more in my wheelhouse.
Yeah. I mean, especially because he was a coach here up until last year.
I know. Shout out Will though. I took that one on the chin. He was real matter of fact.
Have you talked to Will?
No, I just watch him from afar.
Oh my gosh, you're getting to know him the past 2 years. That kid he is Mark Manning to a T.
Yeah.
Full of energy, just always got a smile, always wanting to talk wrestling. He's a really good kid, and I mean, Coach Manning should be really proud. I mean, obviously we should be proud of all his kids, but Will he's really stuck out to me in the way he carries himself.
I know. I was like, man, what about the twins, man? Can't be hating on the kids.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Be safe out there.
For himself on the football field.
Hey, by the way, I have a question. What was it that you were working on? A hydraulic what?
A hydraulic hose on a John Deere.
A hydraulic hose on a John Deere. What does the
Dr. Verzal, he'll tell you.
Fine. All right, buddy. I'll talk to you later.
See you guys.
See, you realize I'm not talking to Verzal?
Dr. Verz.
That dude's still on punishment.
Yeah? Some timeout?
Oh, yeah.
It's on probation for Friday?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Not a nice person.
It's probably the hose that's used to lift whatever's on the back end of the the tractor.
Like
you know the
like in different
the
area
disc
codes?
or whatever.
Well, no, you know how you have those two little things that look like they're not little. They look like those tubes, and they can go up and down, and they
lift stuff.
Yeah.
I'm aware of what hydraulics are.
I wonder what he must be able to do anything.
Cody?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd probably not mess with hydraulics if it's.
Yeah. When things can fall on you.
Pass.
Probably out. It's a good chance I'm out on that.
Appreciate the call from Cody. You can join the show if you want. 888-638-4876.
That sport's doing well at Nebraska.
It is doing
men's
well.
Sport.
Men's sport doing well.
Because, boy, are we down in the dumps.
Got volleyball and women's basketball.
I think softball's going to be okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think.
Jordy's pretty good.
Yeah, and they just got to stay healthy.
Yeah. They'll be, I think they'll be all right. We've got more Hurrdat Sports Live coming up next. Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, and brought to you by our friends over at Centris Federal Credit Union. Make sure you go check out centrisfcu.org to see all they have to offer, whether it's checking and savings, home equity, which is a thing they're focusing on this month as well. They've got experts that can navigate these things for you, whether it's as simple as just your regular bank accounts or getting into something like auto loans or home equity. They've got you covered and can talk you through that process. It's centrisfcu.org, federally insured by NCAA and an equal housing lender.
Shane, I forgot to tell you, my neighbor is a huge Raiders fan too.
Is he older or younger?
He's older. That's my man. I've talked Lupe Fiasco.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's really.
So he goes back in the day.
Listen, and he looks like Raider fan.
So I could probably have a pretty good conversation with back in the day Raiders.
And he's super cool. He watched me kill a bird yesterday, so I feel bad.
Oof. What happened?
Fudge. Well, he came over to help take some lights down.
Okay.
But when he got out of the truck, he has like a cane. And I was like, oh, man, I can't.
He has nothing to do with a cane to help the lights down.
Exactly. A little guilt kicked in.
The optics are not great.
Not great. Not great. And so anyway, a woodpecker gets in the garage.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I wouldn't leave. I tried to open the garage. I closed the garage. I Googled. I left just a little bit of daylight.
Yeah.
And nah, man, dude, he just wanted to hang out.
He was staying on it.
And they can cause some damage.
Yeah, they can.
So I'm panicking.
My parents had him at their old house on the outside, but yeah.
Oh yeah.
But they put holes.
Yeah, and I did not want that thing in,
especially inside. Yeah.
Right. And I kept trying. I was talking to him. You've got to see this. Like I broke a broom. I mean, I split the whole head off.
Trying to scare him.
Oh yeah.
Get him out.
Yeah. Then he's kind of making me mad.
Yeah.
So I got the plastic rake.
Oh no.
I said, hey, look, man.
Didn't want to have to be like this.
It's exactly what I said. I said, I'm not trying to go here with you. I'm just not. Rationalizing. Zoe's in the driveway, terrified.
I was mortified.
terrified.
Yeah.
I said, look, man.
Of you or the bird?
She seemed to be okay with the bird. I think she knew the bird may be in trouble.
Okay.
So
she's like pleading with the bird, like,
yep,
don't make him do
like,
it.
come on, bird.
Don't make him do it.
So once I had to go from the broom to the rake, man, I got one swing, a couple feathers flew.
Okay.
Went rested, went to the flypaper, like in the garage.
Still
Just chilling. I was like, come on, man.
Garage?
I was like, come on, man, just go. And he took a couple runs at me. I'm like, okay, I don't want to have to do this.
Ain't got to be like this.
Got him. Fell straight to the floor, or the garage floor.
Yeah.
This girl, Zoe, cried for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
15 minutes.
Yeah.
I said, Zoe, Dad, I just didn't. I know he just did. I said, oh, God, bad dad. But, I straight, man.
There's no point you could have, like, ushered Zoe inside before this had to happen.
Thought about it.
Yeah.
But she didn't, like, it would have intensified her anxiety.
Okay.
Because she couldn't see. Well, why are you making me stay inside? Everybody else is outside. I could just hear it.
Yeah.
So it's all right.
Well, she's a smart kid, so she knows what's going on.
I saw my dad hit a possum in the head with a shovel. I turned out okay.
Well, that's questionable.
It's fine. But yeah, anyway, Shane, huge Raiders fan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Raiders had a good offseason, man.
They're doing, they re-signed Crosby. They're in good shape there.
And they already had a good roster.
They got a quarterback. That was really the thing we kept talking about, right? Oh,
they have a good roster. You have one of the best you have the best young tight end in the league.
They do have a good roster.
Well,
yeah. Bowers is a monster.
And like I said, they're making moves with purpose. I mean, they're getting what they're supposed to be getting done. Like,
unfortunately, just playing a brutal division
and just
so
doing
that's
it.
That's the thing you have to bring up, right? Is yes, they have a good roster.
You have the Raiders. You have the Raiders in Denver and that other team.
And what good does it get you?
And by the way, having gone through this in college
and Chargers too, man.
Is anybody going to issue a formal apology to Xavier Worthy?
Probably not.
He was getting crushed, as was the Chiefs organization, turning a blind eye, this, that, and the other. Probably should apologize to Xavier Worthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No charges filed.
And she was clearly the aggressor.
Yeah.
She was, I don't know her, so I don't want to say nuts. She appeared to not be very good with the old critical thinking.
Be going through some things. That's the nice way to put it.
Say I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's
I just don't like that same energy.
No, it's tough. It's tough out there. It is. And the Chiefs appeared to that's the other thing we have to remember sometimes with these franchises. And it's hard because they've obviously got a vested interest in certain things going a certain way. But a lot of times they have dramatically more information than we do.
Yeah.
They have literally investigators on the payroll to figure these things out, to see what they need to do.
Hey, send Kenny over. See what happened.
Yeah. Like, they've got ex-FBI guys on payroll, most of these guys. At the very least, local police. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We're going to talk to Avarie Howard coming up next about a little Omaha basketball. See what they've been doing. See if any trash cans survive the night. We'll be back on Hurrdat Sports Live. Kicking off hour number 3 here on Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We are joined now by our very own Avarie Howard of Hurrdat Sports, who's been up in Sioux Falls this past weekend watching Omaha win their first ever Summit League title in men's basketball. Avarie, how are you this morning?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Ave, where are you? Are you are you in Omaha? Did you stay in Sioux Falls? Like, what are we doing?
No, we stayed in Sioux Falls. Mike and I decided to be responsible. We were going to take off, but it was like 1 a.m. before we're done working. We're like, we probably should just go to sleep. So I'm leaving Sioux Falls, so I'm on my way back.
Oh, she said responsible, and you lost me. I'm like, what is that? What is that?
Yeah.
What?
Well, you said Mike and responsible, so I was like, that doesn't make any sense.
I know. No, I know. I'm giving him so much credit right now. So much credit. DB, you were up last night. You retweeted the last thing we posted at like 1 a.m.
Yeah. Oh, I was up.
And
You're like, what?
Okay.
You're like, what the heck?
You're like, what's wrong with you?
That's exactly what time it was. How did? Oh, because you're working.
Posting them.
Yeah, you're posting. Yeah,
Oh,
I
you
was.
want to know something? I know what everyone's up to.
Avery's low key like the team social media stalker. She knows what everything's going on.
Really?
Oh yeah.
God, noted. I'm gonna have to. I don't know. I might have to trick you up a little bit, but since you're the one doing the content, you're gonna know. She's gonna know. She's not never gonna know. She's gonna know. She's not gonna know. She's gonna know. Hey, so you guys, I mean, that was quite a bit of work. What was you got to walk me through, I'm a big, kind of mood, temperament, body language guy. After you already know that these guys are in the deal, what did you see with their demeanor to get ready to still go out and drop the hammer and leave no doubt? Like, what was that like?
No, to be honest with you, it's kind of crazy to say this, but I didn't have a single doubt because they were so fired up even after their dominant win against South Dakota, which was supposed to be more challenging than it was. Obviously, granted, South Dakota's coming off another game. Omaha had some time to rest. But, I mean, the fire within that team after that game, it was like, yeah, people still didn't pick us to win this tournament. So if you think we're satisfied, like we have something still to prove. And that was even, going into the championship game. And then you have them getting their spot in the tournament. And I think for them, it allowed them maybe a safety blanket, but it definitely wasn't an excuse. And watching the way that they warm up, the energy they warm up with, just the intensity, the intention, the enjoyment the entire time. There's just something, I just was sitting there looking at their strength trainer and I was like, you guys just have so much fun. He's like, it's the team. He's like, they just have fun. They take it away. And like, this is them all the time. So watching them warm up, watching them just interact with one another, they just felt loose. I mean, they could have played with, they had that chip on their shoulder and they could have played with a little bit of added stress because of that, but I didn't see any of it. And I feel like I told Mike, I was like, it just felt like they weren't going to leave a doubt. He said, I agree.
Avery, I got to ask you, I know you're the consummate professional here, but I have to ask you on a personal note, kind of what the emotions were like for you. I know you ride for Omaha as much as anybody, and this had to be a pretty cool moment for you just as an alum, as a former student athlete at Omaha. Like, what's going through your mind, just your personal emotions as you, not only this tournament where you see them clinch a bid to the big dance, but just kind of watching this team progress over the last couple years and give themselves an opportunity to be in this position?
Yeah, it is interesting because, you have to play it pretty cool, but there are moments where, you're allowed to get a little more excited than others, especially when it's, like you said, it was my own school. And so there's some traditions and things of that nature that, hit a little closer to home. And I think the coolest part is just the way that this team has represented the program and has represented the city and just the way that they've done it. Yes, they've gotten the national traction all year long for the celebration, but that's because they were winning. And I also think, they could have had that attention and they could have seen where that went, but it was all because of what this team has done. And I think the coolest part about my interview yesterday with JJ White was I asked them if they thought this was possible, even though some of them had said, yeah, I think we knew we had the game of the year. And he goes, honestly, no, we knew we could do this when Coach Crutch came and it was our first year. We just knew it was going to take some time. And I just don't think you see that a lot. And we've talked about that core group sticking together and staying together and wanting to get this done together. And that just doesn't happen a lot. And so I think the commitment to this university and the fact that they believe in their coaches and they trusted their coaches enough, I think that's the part that makes me the most proud is, Omaha is not everyone's number one decision all the time. And I think they come here and they're pleasantly surprised by, the facilities and the people, the ways our staff loves the athletes here and they make you feel like you're at home. And so that kept these players here. The coaches kept them on this team and they believed in them. And I think even from last year to this year and, the players that had to step up from losing Frankie last year to coming to this year and becoming much bigger roles of, if you look at the tournament, I think it also speaks to how this team performed when they turned things around. Markel Sutton had 14 plus straight games with 18 points. JJ White went off yesterday. He didn't really go off the day before, but Tony Osborne did. And then when they need some defensive help, they put Jay Sean in. But the core four guys who had to step up this year. And so I think there's just a lot of things to be proud of. And I know when you play for Omaha, when you get the opportunity to play for a championship, we don't take that lightly just because of the attention and just the love and respect we get in those moments. And so to see our logo on the national stage will be really cool for me.
Yeah, and it's interesting, too, because you bring up JJ. Well, I was telling Ravi last week, funny story. I met him the day he got to Omaha. Then Coach Crandall was picking him up from the airport, and I was signing some stuff that they wanted for their auction. That they were doing this big fundraiser, and I asked him, I'm just listen. He didn't even get out of the passenger seat, and I was in Coach Crandall's window side, right? You don't want to walk over to another guy's, but I'm just like, hey, what are we getting? And all he kept saying was he likes to compete. He's like, I think Omaha's a nice city. I want to compete. I want to compete. And he was very reserved. And it's just interesting when I watch him and kind of what he went through last year, then the start of this season, the first 10 games, right? And then all of a sudden he's injected into the starting lineup, and just his competitive stamina, like his ability to just kind of be even keeled the whole time. It's interesting how those words resonated with me when he said, because a lot of people say they want to compete, but it's usually on their terms, and he was competing, and it wasn't always on his terms. He just competed.
Yeah. And I think I think you can always tell pretty quickly the relationships between players and coaches when you watch them interact in multiple moments in a game. And I remember there had been years in the past where, JJ and Crutch would kind of knock heads a little bit in the game, but it was never out of a lack of love because, the second later, Crutch is the first person that's like, hey, I told you, or like, let's go. And there's a response, there's a smile from JJ, and that just, nothing's personal. Everything's through, love and trust. And I saw the same thing with Jay Sean yesterday. Like he had a few moments where Crutch was on him, and the minute that game ended, he was like one of the first players he hugged. He had a long message for him. There's just a lot of love and a lot of trust there. And I think JJ said it best too yesterday. It goes along with what you're saying. A lot of teams can say they want to fight or they love each other and they're close. He's like, but we don't say those words lightly and we actually mean it. And I think we see that exemplified in their relationships and just the way they play for one another. And like you said, JJ wasn't a starter at the beginning of this year. And then he comes in, had a lot more trust from his coaches. He said yesterday, if you guys listened to that one, he goes, we had a coming to Jesus conversation, and things kind of turned around for him a little bit, but he knows that he had the trust of his coach, and so yeah, it's been pretty special to watch.
Avarie, you brought something up that I think somehow a lot of us have sort of pushed to the back of our minds. This team did lose their best player from last year in Frankie Fiddler, a guy that's, by the way, playing for the best team in the Big Ten now. Like, have you gotten a sense at all at how this team sort of just adjusted on the fly and kept the rest of that core group together to be able to have a leap from last year to this year while losing a pretty major piece of the puzzle?
Yeah, major piece. It's interesting. Mike and I were discussing this yesterday because, I think there's a lot of things you can look at, but, last year, this year at the Summer League tournament, I think Frankie dropped like 40, like something crazy. And I think a lot of players, whether they maybe admit it or not, I think sometimes knew that they had Frankie in their back pocket. And so I think this year it forced them all to be like, hey, Frankie's not here, but we still have the four main pieces and we still know what this looks like. Everything else remains the same. But I do think it's really cool to see the way that they supported one another. And I mean, yes, teammates, but Frankie has been Omaha's biggest fan, and rightfully so. He's from here, right? And this is what he wanted. So really cool to see his city get this far. And I know there's already some projections on if Omaha and Michigan State would see each other, and I'm sure that'd be kind of a special moment for all of them. But I do think, it forced all those players to say, hey, if Frankie's not here, who's going to be the next guy? And I think, we saw Markel become the player that we knew, the coaches knew that he could be. But it also wasn't just, we don't need one guy. It was the whole team has stepped up. And even yesterday when Markel was in foul trouble, here comes Lance Waddles, and it's all different kind of pieces that when one goes down, the other pops up. And I think that's what has made this team so strong this season. It's not just one person. It truly is all five of them on the court.
Hey, Ave, I think we got to take a good look at the athletic department too, right, with Adrian. And it's interesting how the team kind of comes off. Now, I get it, and we'll get into the trash can thing and that, but they're so – he's so appreciative and in the moment and present. And it's interesting that a lot of the basketball team comes across like that as well, right? very big fans of Omaha and the university. And you heard Coach Krutz say this is a special place and how he references his affinity for Omaha. A lot of that, like Adrian's a lot the same way in terms of what he believes they're capable of in this community.
Yeah, for sure. It was really cool to watch Adrian interact after the game yesterday. He just walks around, like you said, calm, cool, collected. But I know on the inside, he's smiling. And he just kind of walked around really subtly, smile on his face, hugs to everyone, a casual fist bump, just kind of like I think we knew this was coming. And just like a subtle confidence. And I was speaking to him when we were waiting outside the press conferences and just catching up a little bit. And I just said, what a kind of cool time to be a fan for Omaha. And, the softball team doing what they're doing the last few years and where they're at right now. Omaha hockey's hosting, for the second time in 3 years an NCHC playoff. And he just said, yeah, I think things are just getting started. Just wait. And he kind of walked off with that. That was the end of our conversation. So like you said, there's a subtle confidence, and they've been putting a lot of pieces in the right spots. And it's just really cool to see people pour into the university. And I'm glad that people are on board and following along.
I think it's because he looks 10 and he doesn't want anybody to ID him. I do. Tell him keep those credentials on, man. Nobody will harass you.
Avery,
I'll ask him for the routine.
as you look at the athletic department as a whole, one of the things I think about a lot is sort of the sustainability or paths to being sustainably successful for schools that don't have football money and that are in either kind of these what we call mid-major or low-major conferences. As you look at Omaha and how they've set things up, talking about the basketball program specifically, does this feel like something that can continue to build momentum and be sustainable throughout the next several years?
I think so. I do think that it's going to be interesting now because we saw this, at the end of football season, right, where this might be the first time in a long time where people are looking at Omaha and saying, what do they have over there? What's going on there? And as much as Coach Rule said it, it's a compliment to the program, but it does challenge the program, right? So I think it is sustainable, and I think that's where the deep connection and intensity of intention to why this team loves Omaha and their commitment to this university and this program. I mean, yes, Markel's gone, and there's other pieces of this senior group that are gone, but there's some pieces that'll come back, and I'll have to build around this. But this team knows what it takes now to win a championship, not only at the regular season level, but also at the tournament level, and they know what it takes to get there. And I think for a long time it was like, okay, let's get to the tournament. We can see what happens. They went into this tournament with the mindset of we're not leaving this without a tournament title, and I don't think this team's had that mindset in quite some time. And so I do think it's sustainable in terms of the guys that they do have coming back and just the mindset that they play with and what the standard that they want to uphold. And I talked to Coach Crush about this yesterday. I said, you guys were up 30 with about 3 minutes left against South Dakota, and I see your guys on the bench getting on your team because they weren't doing small things correctly. And you don't see that from a team that's just taking this moment for granted. They knew they were supposed to be here. They had a title they wanted to win. So I think making sure that championship culture and mindset stays in Omaha, I think this can be sustainable.
All right, let me get you out on this, Abe, because I think this is interesting. And you've seen the summit up close. And we talked about all year how basically Omaha kind of built their roster differently, right? Length, athleticism. They can really shut you down in a high scoring league. That part with his blueprint on how he wants to play and who he wants to play, that part is pretty sustainable, isn't it? Because you watch them against other teams, they just look different, right? St. Thomas is like, all the money, Denver, it's like when they play, they just look like a different team defending those guys out there.
Yeah, and I honestly think that's a huge credit to the strength staff, if I'm being honest, because that's changed in the last few years. And across the board, I think all athletics at Omaha has seen an uptick in performance. And I think those two things aren't a coincidence. And you just watch what they've done with the strength program and the coaches they've added in that room, the way that the strength coaches have been integrated to each team. basketball is the biggest one that I've noticed, and watching the way that their bodies have changed, the way they warm up is different. Just the enthusiasm. They have a knowledge about why they're doing what they're doing, and physicality hasn't really been an issue for them this year, and that has been an issue in the past. And just they're like you said earlier, competitive stamina. These guys are able to stay on the court for a long period of time, and their level doesn't drop. And when it does, the next guy's ready to go, and he's at the same level. And so I do think it's been really cool to see the way that they've competed on they haven't beaten South Dakota State like that in years, and it's been, physicality has been one of those things, and bigger, stronger guys, faster guys. That hasn't been the issue this year, and I think it's been noticeable as the difference, and it's really paid off this year.
That's Avarie Howard, our very own from Hurrdat Sports. Avarie, have a safe trip back. We appreciate all the hard work. Good talking to you.
Thanks, Ave.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys.
That's Avarie Howard, Hurrdat Sports.
Quick 240.
What's that?
Sioux Falls.
Oh, yeah.
I think, right? About 240?
I think it's a little further than that.
I said quick.
It depends on how fast you drive. Is that?
Yeah. I was on the interstate enough.
I thought it was like 3:30.
I'm not going anywhere for a minute.
I thought it was like 3:30 to Sioux Falls.
No.
You don't think so?
No, I think you can do like 238 comfortably.
Comfortably?
Yes. 82.
We're gonna check here.
82 cruise control.
Omaha to Sioux Falls.
I'm telling you, man, I've done it 100 times. What? I'm right, aren't I? Yep. Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Can we go to break? No. It's 2:38 on the dot.
So you want me to go to break?
No.
I've done it.
It's 2:38 on the dot.
Yeah.
All right.
Just saying.
All right.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful place.
It's not bad. I've been up there a bunch for
it's pretty.
NAI stuff.
I mean, it's nice. It's nicer than you'd think.
Yeah. I had never been up there until college when we would play up there, and then we coached up there a bunch.
Apparently, a lot of revenue generated in that corridor.
Not quite as much revenue as they make at St. Thomas, but
I know, right?
They are papered up.
You know the funny thing. You know what I enjoyed, and I've said this all year about their roster. They're just long and strong. They don't look like any. The closest comp they have is KC. Is KC.
Yeah,
and KC's not as skilled.
Yeah, KC's not very good.
They're just not as skilled.
So my concern about putting a roster together like that at this level is that you end up looking like KC. Like that's why I asked the questions about sustainability and stuff like that, right? Because it's hard. It's really hard at all.
They still can put the biscuit in the basket.
100%, right? No, 100%. Omaha is really, really well put together. The reason I ask questions about sustainability is I do think it's hard long term to continue to get that level of length and athleticism with skill at this level.
And I remember before Omaha offered Jaden Jackson, I was like, "What's the holdup, bub?"
Yeah.
And
what's the bloop? What are we doing here?
Yeah. And it was
it's a size.
Thing.
Yeah. No, and we've seen that. I mean,
it was size.
And I'll give Coach Crutch credit. Like, that was a little alliteration there. Coach Crutch credit. He's been pretty upfront about, hey, this is what we're looking for. If we don't offer a guy, it's for one of these reasons, that they don't have the size, they don't have the length, they can't defend the way we need them to. And again, I obviously it worked out really well this year. I hope it continues to work out. I do just wonder about the ability to find fits for what he's looking for at this
There's
level.
so many of those body types out there, though.
Body types, yes, but body types with the skill set.
That's where development comes in.
Hey, if he's that good at development, awesome. I hope he stays here forever.
That's where that's going to be the key.
You know what I mean?
Because you'll get those body types.
Oh, the body types are out there for sure, but there's a lot of people playing like Kansas City too, which is not what you want here at Omaha for sure. But congratulations to the Mavs. They've done a terrific job. Congratulations to Coach Crutch and staff as well. Hopefully we'll get a chance to talk to him this week.
Anthony, I don't know if it's unlikely or not. He says, I know very unlikely, but what happens if UNO gets a win before UNL?
I mean, it's not crazy.
Well, they're going to see a 2 probably.
A 1 or a 2, yeah.
I don't think Omaha's better than a 16.
I think they are.
I think they're better than a 15. I think they're going to be a 14.
Really? Yep. You're out on a limb on that one in terms you're on an island.
Well, they're not going to be a 16. So I have 4 chances to be.
I'll take that bet. If you want to put a bet on them being a 16 or not.
Okay.
I'll take that bet.
A meal.
We'll do a $20 meal.
Yeah.
That they're a 16 or you get everything above a 16.
Yeah.
All right, deal.
Free me.
Now I asked, and I already know the answer, but I'm just going to ask.
Free me.
Just so I have clarification.
I hope you're right. I want them to be a 15.
If they do play a play-in game and they win, does that count?
It does.
Yeah, but Shane, we're not talking playing.
I know we're not.
You and Terrence can go high five.
I know we're
buddies.
not talking that.
It does count.
He's the only person I heard bring that up, and that's not his style. He's usually, he knows his sports.
So I heard people start to bring it up a couple weeks ago before we kind of got to this point as like, oh, they might be a play-in team, whatever. The Summit's better than that. Like the winner of the Summit League, I agree with you. I think they should be a 15. I think they're going to be a 16.
Yeah, well,
I hope I'm wrong. I hope they go knock off a 2.
But a play-in win wins.
I just need to rack up about 5 wins, and so I can finally have a good meal.
Just try to get a quick hundy.
Your boy had kipper snacks this weekend. Okay,
I don't even know what that is.
It's like smoked herring. It's like sardines.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. All right.
I had kipper snacks and cheddar cheese cubes.
That sounds terrible.
It was fire with a little hot sauce.
Sounds awful.
That sounds pretty good.
Right?
Sounds terrible. Now, okay, you wanted the irony of all ironies.
What?
Let's line this up, all right? Currently, let's say you're right. Let's say they're a 15.
Yeah.
You know who's slated as one of the 2s right now?
Michigan State.
Michigan State. Now, you know the committee likes to do those things.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
That'd be incredible.
That would be great.
It'd be great theater. I mean, there's a reason Nebraska played A&M last year, right?
That'd be great.
The committee likes doing this stuff. That'd be unbelievable.
Make it happen.
Hey, speak it into existence. Let's manifest this thing.
I'm telling you.
I hope you're right. I would love, and oh man, you know how sweet it would be to beat Michigan State? It'd be unbelievable.
Oh man.
I don't have anything against Frankie either. I get it. Go get the bag. Go play in the Big Ten. I get it. Nothing against him. But
I love Frankie.
That would be terrific.
He's like an OG fave.
Yeah.
I'm not quite to the point by saying he can do no wrong, but
yeah.
I even let him. He's the man, but I'm even cool with the headband look. And normally I'm not.
Not a headband guy.
It depends on who you are.
Yeah.
It depends on who you are.
So I had
you either have to have a brush cut or long hair. He's a tweener and he still rocks it, so it
is a little awkward with the tweeners.
Yeah.
So I did rock the headband in college a little bit.
Did you have a lot of hair still?
No, I was buzzed.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I do. So when I play tennis now, I do rock the headband to keep the hair out of the eyes.
And I agree with Anthony again here, where it actually, because of the Michigan State dialing from like the way that they play, it's not a. If you're gonna 15 and you're gonna have to play
it's
a 2,
not a terrible matchup.
Play that one. It's better than Tennessee. They wouldn't score.
It's better than St. John's.
I don't know.
Now they might.
I don't know, man. St. John's can't shoot.
So they might be able to stay in it because St. John's can't score. But
I don't know if Osborne's getting any shots off. Though.
I was gonna say I don't know who's getting a shot off for Omaha if they're playing St. John's.
My man Splash at Tony.
Now you know it would be kind of funny. Is the Summit League of the SEC Alabama?
Yeah, but they're going to be a 1.
You think so?
Who bumps them?
They're projected as a 2 right now.
So who's the 4th one?
So it's Auburn, Duke, Houston, Florida.
So Houston, huh?
Bracket Matrix doesn't even have Houston as the last one. They've got Florida as the last one.
I'm not surprised because of the
resume.
Yeah, the resume.
Yeah.
I told you the problem with Florida when I picked them to lose a couple weeks ago, even though that's my team, when they play Georgia, they just aren't battle tested enough.
Yeah, they haven't had a lot of adversity. They've had to,
so it's through. And their schedule has been pretty good.
A little light.
Yeah. But like aesthetically, like my eye, Florida's better than Houston.
I agree. I think Florida's better than Duke too.
I told you last 3 weeks though. I'm all in on Houston though.
Yeah,
come all the way around. They score when they need to, and they can score plenty if they want to.
And they're gonna defend because it's a Kelvin Sampson.
They just play so stinking hard.
Any Kelvin Sampson team I'll ride with. Like he's such a good coach.
And you have 2 bucket getters.
Yeah.
So Yeah, Houston will be fine.
I'm just saying, an Alabama-Omaha game might end up, the over-under on that thing might be 240.
Who would you make the fave in the Big Ten tournament? Michigan State?
I guess.
Then who?
Maryland.
I agree. Then who?
Not Michigan.
You going with Wisconsin?
Purdue?
I'd take Purdue.
Purdue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would go Michigan State, Maryland, Purdue,
Wisconsin.
then probably Wisconsin.
And then maybe Michigan.
Yeah. I don't like.
I don't either. I don't like Michigan that much. I don't like Wisconsin that much. I don't love Purdue, but I'll take Purdue over those two.
What do you think the odds
And then
differential
Illinois
between
after
Purdue
Michigan?
and Wisconsin are? It's got to be close.
Yeah, it's probably in the
suppose we should
neighborhood.
Look it up.
We'll look it up during the break here because you know what? We're gonna bet on things next.
Oh boy.
That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. More Hurrdat Sports Live coming up. We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. Time for Bet On It. This is one of my favorite times of year, DB.
Yeah.
To gamble because there's a lot going on. I love the conference tournaments. This is, you want to know a little dirty little secret about my gambling habits.
Yeah.
The conference tournaments is where I fell in love with live betting.
Oh yeah.
Like these conference tournaments because I'd have a sense on some of these mid-major conference tournaments, but I'd want to see how it started first. And so I'd get pretty much the same lines or maybe a little bit better based on how the game started, and I fell in love with it.
Little Brian Edwards.
Well, you know, little Brian Edwards.
Little Brian Edwards.
You know, I'm not doing the Budweiser Tall Boys or anything, but
Are you using the cream cheese to butter the bagel?
Using the cream cheese to butter the bagel?
I'm not a huge bagel guy. They're fine.
I like Asiago cheese, but I haven't had a bagel in a minute.
You haven't had any carbs in a minute.
Oh, I actually had some.
Did you?
Yes.
What'd you have? What broke the streak?
I had. So, Micah wanted. They were tater tots, and so he wanted
like tater tots.
He wanted them in like his breakfast burritos, and there were like 6 left.
Yeah.
And so I smushed them on a plate, and I put my sunny side up eggs over them.
Well, I bet that was good.
It's fire.
Yeah.
And I have new cookware too that my mom got me.
Yeah.
And she was kind of mad at me, like she's like, "Well, what do you want for your birthday?" And I'm scrambling, right? So it's like I just want something functional, like that I can use. I'm like, I don't know. I was kind of looking at. I may get a couple new belts, or you know, some. I need some brown dress shoes. You know, maybe some cookware.
Yeah.
And she gave me the eye roll emoji. Like I'm 50. Like what's I just want you to get something that you need. You're always doing for everybody. I'm like, I like to cook.
I was like, you like cooking. That's sort of a for you thing.
I like to cook.
Yeah.
And now
everyone else benefits, but
I have new cookware. Oh my!
All about it.
Sunny side up eggs are, man. Yeah. I mean, on
those with like the runny yolk.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Those are real good on hash browns.
Yeah, and I'm like a kid in a candy store.
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you need? I can cook it.
You want me to cook some for you?
Cookware matters though.
Oh, for 100%.
And I screwed up I used to have this little, it's basically a griddle, but it's for outdoors. So it's a skillet, and it has 2 little handles. And
over big cast iron ones?
Yes.
Yeah.
But over time, when my hinges on my outdoor oven with no flavor, aka my trigger, got a bad hinge on the door, I would use it to weight the door down.
Gotcha.
So I need to probably clean it and bring that back.
Yeah, maybe.
But that's what it is now. It's now officially a weight. It might stay that way because I have a Blackstone that I need to season.
I got some dumbbells at the house if you need to like.
Hey, Micah's looking for those. What do you have? Do you have a straight bar?
Yeah, dude, I've got a bunch of stuff.
Well, you said you were going to check and then I was like, I don't want to sweat him.
No, I've got the bar.
Yeah.
And I've got a bunch of dumbbells. I've got plate weights if you want those.
Yeah, put together. Well, I didn't put together the bench. If you could.
If he wants a bigger bench setup, I don't know like what he wants. But I have a rack, too.
Do you know who put together our weight bench?
Jay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured. No, you told me. I'm just giving you a hard time. Yeah, you did.
I was bothered. There's a mess down there, but what do I say?
Yeah. Because she's like, yeah, she's doing something. So
it's all those power tools, and it was just like.
She didn't do power tools for that thing?
Yeah.
probably don't need power tools for that.
It's pretty. Is
it like pretty elaborate?
Yeah, and we've had it for 5 years.
Oh, okay.
So our old neighbor, moved to Florida, and he was a super curmudgeon.
Yeah,
but his wife was really nice, and he'd come over. He was like my peeping Tom neighbor, where he not on me. He would just he was the neighborhood watch. And so they ordered all this stuff, and she's like, he does not want to move this. The movers are charging us by the pound. It hasn't even come out of the box. We're just going to leave this with you. I swear to goodness. And he's rich. Rich. But he couldn't
justify the move cost?
Couldn't justify adding the poundage.
I get that.
Because he wasn't going to use the set.
Yeah.
And it had never even been opened.
Nice.
It is spectacular.
Yeah, I showed you what my setup used to look like in the basement. I don't use any of that stuff anymore.
It looks like a home gym. It looks like a mini.
It was.
It's like Planet Fitness before they started doing the $10 memberships.
I need to find somebody that is trying to outfit like a whole thing, because I've got a couple really nice. They're good for athletes. I've got a reverse hyper, which are really nice, and then I've got a belt squat machine, which is really nice, but I don't use any of it anymore.
Where do you keep it?
Some of it's in the garage. The rest of it's still in my basement. So I've got a tandem garage. So I've got an extra space behind where my wife parks.
Yeah.
So that I store something back there. It's like yard stuff and my extra weight stuff that I don't use anymore.
And a dead woodpecker?
No dead birds in my garage, but
it's interesting what people do with their garage. Lupe's got a punching bag in his.
Yeah, I've got a punching bag too if you want one. Got a nice.
I think his is an 80-pounder bladder.
Mine's not bladder. Mine's filled, but it's like sand, I think, or whatever. I don't know. It's nice. It's Everlast. It's either 80 or 100. It's a big one.
I definitely would do that.
I don't have a stand, but I got the bag if you want to hang it somewhere. If you got you've got an I-beam or something you can hang it from.
I don't want anything extra in my garage. It's pretty.
You do have a clean garage.
It's kind of the way I like it.
You keep it pretty. You'd hate mine. Mine's a little chaotic.
I don't even like the garage door open.
Yeah. Which is weird, because usually if your garage is that nice, it's okay having the door open.
I don't want anything random in there.
Yeah.
I have this. I have this fear that I'm going to open a garage one day and some possum is going to run out.
Yeah.
And I hate those things.
See, I told you were traumatized from the possum your dad killed.
Listen, it wouldn't be the plastic Rick. That thing would get the shovel. You can hiss at me all you want to. I'll bash your face in.
Man. Those things are ugly.
Hey, they're mean.
They are. There's a lot of animals I'll have some empathy with.
And we're right by the park with the wooded area.
Yeah,
Who knows what's we had mountain lions in our neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like my garage.
I've seen a coyote in our neighborhood before.
Yeah, we've had fox.
Just rolling across the road.
Yeah, I'm not doing it. Papio Creek's right there.
Yeah. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, man, I'm out. Keep the garage shut.
More out on critters in your garage or more out on Illinois plus 650 for the Big Ten? That seems high.
Okay, give me the quick rundown.
Okay, because there's
there's a couple of teams I'd take a flyer on.
There's 6 teams under plus 700 or under, and then there's, I think maybe my favorite bet is outside of that.
All right, give me the tops.
So Michigan State plus 260.
Okay.
Maryland.
I would not take.
Me either. Maryland plus 460. Maybe.
Probably would not take.
Not great value, but maybe. Purdue plus 650. Illinois plus 650. UCLA plus 700. Wisconsin plus 700, Michigan plus 1,200, Oregon plus 1,700.
I would take Illinois and UCLA.
See, I don't like Illinois at plus 650. I would want longer odds than that for Illinois.
That's great value, though. I think $10 gets you 65.
I think UCLA is good value at plus 700. I agree. If I want a long shot, I'm going to Oregon.
So they've won 7 in a row.
Oregon, and it's Dana Altman in February and March.
Are they
17 to 1?
So they get the first bye. Are they the 8?
Let me bring the bracket up here. I believe so.
Okay, because I have to think about that.
Let me look at their matchup. Let me look at their path.
Yeah, I think they're the 8, but I'm going off literally imagery memory.
I'm bringing it up.
I saw it once.
They are the 8. They have the single bye. They will play the winner of Northwestern Minnesota.
Okay.
Or wait, no, they play Indiana. They've got the single bye. They play Indiana.
Now hey, listen, laugh. be careful with Indiana.
Well, yeah, ever since they figured out they don't have to play for Woodson next year, they've been playing great.
I mean, extremely capable.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Oregon and
it'll be all about the matchups for them. If they can play two bigs at a time and get away with it, they're going to be tough.
Yeah, I was reading the bracket wrong. It's Oregon, Indiana, and the winner of that one will play Michigan State.
Okay.
So I don't know how you feel about Oregon now.
Give me the bottom.
The bottom of the odds.
Yeah.
Ohio State
Nope.
plus 4,200.
Nope.
Indiana plus 4,800.
Nope.
USC plus 15,000.
Nope. Terrible.
Rutgers plus 18,000.
Nope.
Northwestern plus 25,000. Minnesota plus 25,000.
Who's the 6
seed or in
the seed in the tournament?
The 6th seed in the tournament is 1, 2, 3, 4. Purdue. Purdue is the 6th. They play the winner of USC Rutgers.
I may change my flyer.
Who's your flyer?
Instead of Illinois and UCLA, I may go Purdue and UCLA.
UCLA has the double bye.
I'm telling you.
They will play the winner of Northwestern Minnesota.
Anytime you get plus anything, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like we're just getting greedy.
Well, I mean, so plus Michigan State's not great plus money. Anything after that, you're 5-1.
I mean, if you could find a fighter at like plus 130, you're tickled. Are we thumbing our nose up at plus 260?
Right, but you have to compound it, right? A fighter has to win one fight. Michigan State has to win 3 games.
I understand,
so,
but
like plus 133 times is different than plus 260.
$10. Do you know what I could get for $26?
More than you can for 10.
5 pounds of feather bones.
Not getting any pastrami from Burrs, I know that.
He was dead serious.
I know.
No, like I went there.
You went over, didn't have any for you?
Nothing.
It's cold-blooded, man.
Oh.
How mad were you?
Get to talk. I thought he was the whole time.
You thought he was joking?
Yeah. I was like, I'll just go there. No. Dead serious. Which is fine.
That's
only one today with a very thin card. I have one, and then I have one that I think it's kind of gross.
It is light tonight. What do we got?
Well, it's super light. Like
we'll get going hot and heavy Tuesday and Wednesday.
It's mildly disgusting.
What is it?
I'm going my second one first.
Okay.
I would get all the 20 with Pepperdine and St. Mary's.
Okay.
All of it.
I've got it at 19.5 currently.
Yep. Take Pepperdine, but that's not it.
You want Pepperdine, not
yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I thought maybe you were big on St. Mary's.
But I like Wofford. I think Wofford will beat Furman.
You big Wofford guy?
Yeah. And I think it's only 1.5 or something.
So Ken Palm's got St. Mary's at 18. So just under what the line is. Wofford they are a 1 point, according to Ken Palm, they are 1 point. What is that?
Dog?
No, they're supposed to win by 1.
Oh, yeah, they're getting 1.5. I like Wofford.
Is that that's Big South?
Yeah, I like Wofford.
Big Wofford guy, huh?
Getting one in the although I'll take the plus 105 on the money line. But it could be a 1 point game too.
Yeah, I'll still take the. I mean, if you think they're gonna win,
take Wofford.
Big Terriers guy.
Oh yeah.
You just like them because they look like your dogs. Their little mascot looks like a Frenchie.
And they had your boy that would shot like 85,000 threes in a game and never came out. Remember the run he went on a couple years ago?
Yeah.
What was his name? That's all he did was shoot threes.
Yeah, I don't remember his name.
And then he had like 1 2-point field goal in the game, and everybody wanted to stop the press.
Yeah, I can see him.
Asian Wyatt just sent me a picture of those things are horrible.
Yeah, no, I hate.
I would punch a there. It would be like that mad fear anger. I would take it out on somebody that looks that mean.
That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. Let's bet on it. We'll be back to wrap up the show on Hurrdat Sports Live. We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. Travis here for
Yeah, possum advocate. That's weird.
Yeah, he's a regular PETA worker. That guy. He says they don't carry diseases like rabies, and they like to eat ticks, They like to eat insects like ticks. He says, have some respect for the only North American marsupial. I can respect them and also want them nowhere near me at the same time.
Did you see the picture that I showed you that Wyatt just sent?
Yeah, no, possums are horrifying. They're horrifying looking creatures.
But he says he has compost in the corner.
I have
He said, but hey, on the bright side, the average lifespan is only 2 years.
Cool.
Not dealing with that.
No. I'll be honest, I don't love having to like kill animals.
I didn't want to do that to the birds, so don't paint me as Dahmer.
I'm not.
I did. I did.
You did. I saw the video.
You heard it, right?
Yeah, you were trying to talk him out of there.
I was like, hey.
You were trying to have a reasonable negotiation with the
I don't want to have to do this.
Yeah. You ain't got to be like this.
I did say that. That was childish. But I just wanted him to know because I felt like he was looking at me. And so I'm like, man.
You hit him with the Matrix. Not like this. Not like this.
I wasn't trying to be that dude. I was like, look, man. Let's just compromise. I'm gonna do the garage thing one more time.
Okay, we gotta get it.
But if you if you mess with me again, and
some decisions are gonna have to be made.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I got you.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, would not have two thoughts about a possum.
Yeah.
I'd smoke that thing.
I wish my former life before I got soft, I'd still had my BB gun.
I'm kind of surprised you didn't go that route. Although inside makes it a little dicey.
Yeah, where I might have got a little ricochet rabbit.
Yeah, you don't know.
I used to have goggles. I used to order them.
The goggles?
No, like different BB guns.
Really?
Yeah, CO2 cartridges and the whole nine.
Big BB gun guy.
I was.
I don't think I would have pegged that.
Yeah.
Why? Like what?
I don't know. I was traumatized as a child. Do you remember the little paper pipe things that used to go run along the bottom of hangers so you wouldn't get the wrinkles?
Yeah.
I would take those off at my mom's, and I would spit toothpicks through there. Like, I know you're going to laugh. I was going to say like I was in Africa, and I was hunting. That's enough. That's enough. And my mom would get so mad.
Surprise, surprise.
She'd be short toothpicks, and there would be random spitballs. I was like, Mom, I don't know why I'm doing this. I apologize. And then it kind of morphed into BB guns. Yeah. And no, it's not that I like to kill animals, and deep down because I like serial killers. I'm not that guy. No,
I think a lot of kids are fascinated with like projectiles when they're young. No, I get it.
And so it was like my very own blow dart. They don't even make hangers like that anymore.
No, I don't think they do. But we had those when I was a kid.
Yeah. They were wire on the rest.
Yeah, and then you had the paper tube.
Yeah.
I'm aware.
Yeah. I was like MacGyver before my day.
You should be so proud of me. I didn't make any jokes. I want to so bad. I didn't make any jokes.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
There's still a little time left.
No, not the mood.
Do I got to hit the music so you don't?
Not the mood today, Shane. Trying to just get through the day.
Just trying to get by.
Just trying to get through the day. So my man QB Ace doesn't even have a basement. And that's not rare down there because
nobody does. Yeah, because the floodplain.
Yeah,
the water table.
He's in Arkansas. That's what Chris used to talk about all the time.
Yeah.
I'd have to get one of those mobile storage sheds.
Yeah, you get south of like a lot of them do have like sheds or like outbuildings or whatever. But my sister in Texas, they don't have basements either.
Just ranching it?
I mean, it's a 2-story, but
okay.
Yeah, but they don't have basements.
You only go up, not down.
Yeah. It's too close to the water. She's down there by outside of Houston. You gotta be careful down there.
Yeah, I'm cool.
You know? QBAs. We got some armadillos down here. It's kind of like armored possums.
Speaking of which,
I think that's about it for today. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We'll be back tomorrow.